Both these teams flying high coming into this game. Tim Lambright going up and getting the football.
No matter what part of the field they're on, they can break a huge play.
Anthony Francis down the sideline. He's going to go in for a score. Big pickup there for Angelo Blake.
He just picks up those big chunks of yardage each time he carries the ball.
Boston just seems to be a little sharp out in this game. There's just no substitute for straight-out speed.
We've seen some amazing games, but that was
one of the best we've seen in a long time. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sartori Stadium in East Boston as we bring you a Week 4 matchup between two Boston North rivals, as tonight the O'Brien Tigers are visiting the East Boston Jets. Hello, everybody. I'm Pat Flaherty, joined by my partner, Seth Orensky. Tonight, Seth, we got two teams who had complete opposite games last week. You know, one team had a loss after winning their first two games of the season. The other team got their first win last week. So two teams kind of going in different directions at the moment.
Well, both teams struggled a season ago, at least for where their programs typically are. A slow 2017. Both teams have bounced back with decent starts at 2018 at 2-1. Only one team's at 1-0 in conference after a big win last week. That's Eastie, the host. They lost their first two games. They're actually 1-2, but got that conference win, a big overtime 2-point win over Brighton, typically a top program. On the other side, a great start for O'Brien. Won their first two games, but then a letdown last week against a bigger West Roxbury side. It doesn't get easy this week against another large physical team in East Boston.
No question. And when you look at the East Boston Jets, they graduated a lot of players from last season, but one guy who's back for his senior season, luckily he's at the quarterback position, that's Dom Russo. That's huge for the East Boston Jets coming into this year.
Well, Russo wasn't a starter going into last season, but he's been so good for this team. 4 touchdowns a week ago, including 3 rushing touchdowns in the win over Brighton. Also threw a 60-yard touchdown pass. And it's great when you have a quarterback who gets a second year in that same system he's developed this year. And he's had to become a little bit more of a thrower as teams stack the box against this East Boston offense.
No question. We'll see if he continues his good passing along with scoring those touchdowns right at the goal line here tonight. Meanwhile, on the other side, for the O'Brien Tigers, they always have good athletes. They're always explosive, but one player who can score from anywhere on the field, and that's Anthony Francis. He's our spotlight player tonight. Definitely going to be looking out for Anthony during this game.
Anthony scored every different way a season ago. Scored on kickoffs, punt returns, on defense, on offense. He's a player who you just want to get the balls in his hand, and he is going to be successful. An interception return for a touchdown week 1 and a big victory. And he's a guy who's so good on offense because all you have to do is find him in a little pocket of space, and he is going to take off. A leader on both sides of the ball, a ball hawk on defense. He has been key for this team, and he already has a couple of touchdowns, 4 in fact, to start this season.
Yeah, as you mentioned, last year 13 total touchdowns in 4 or 5 different ways. This year, 3 receiving and 1 interception return for a touchdown, which we actually saw in Game of the Week in Week 1 against Latin School. So certainly a guy who can do a lot of great things out on the football field. Now, for more on this game, we're going to go to our sideline reporter, Noah Riley, who's got an update for us. Noah, what do you have?
Thanks, guys. I got a chance to catch up with East Boston head coach John Parziali before the game. He talked about the importance of the team's first win against Brighton last week and the return of Angelo Blake, senior running back, into the lineup this week. He rushed for 2 touchdowns last year, but actually injured his ankle in week 1, so he fixes to be back in the lineup this week. On the O'Brien side of the ball, we have offensive weapon Tim Lambright. A wide receiver and a running back, he already has 3 touchdowns on the year, 2 of which came in 1 game against BLS. This fixes to be a great game on both sides of the ball. Thanks, guys, and back to you.
Thanks very much, Noah, and certainly a good point between those two players. You know, Blake's back from an injury. Tim Lambright had a huge game against Latin School in Week 1. Hasn't scored. I think he scored once against Madison Park. Didn't score, I believe, last week. So, you know, he's a guy that they need to kind of get going again along with Anthony Francis.
Well, it's huge for Eastie to get Blake back because, remember, Brandon Ortega, their top player from a year ago, graduated. He had 11 rushing touchdowns on his own. Blake went down not only in Game 1, but quarter number 1 of Game 1, and he was supposed to be their bell cow. On the other side for Lambright, he's a little bit more of a proven factor. I'm sure they have a couple gadget plays to get things going for him as he has been so successful in Kevin Gadsden's system since day 1.
We are just about set to go here at our Sartori Stadium, East Boston, in the all-blue and yellow trim. They are kicking off. Normal squib kick for them as it's fielded, and then it's dropped right around the 41-yard line. O'Brien couldn't field the kickoff cleanly, and we'll see who recovered. It looks like East Boston recovered the football.
Yeah, that was Javon Milton who was there, but he just wasn't able to handle it. He was looking up. Get your eyes down there. You got to pick it up before anything else, and I believe it was number 23 in blue. That's Christopher Clara. the freshman who picks up the loose ball, and that's a huge start for Eastie.
Eastie starters, we got Russo, who we talked about, Blake back from an injury, Martinez also in the backfield, Restrepo and Rivera out at the receiver positions. Rivera also sort of a tight end along with a split end for the East Boston Jets.
And Rivera's the guy that they love to look for. They'll move him along with the line, just trying to get him into a little pocket of space. Such a big option.
They roll Russo to the right, opening play down the field. Ball is tipped and falls incomplete as Russo was looking down the right side of the field. That time for big number 89, Noah Shiner.
Yeah, Shiner's a pretty nice option, 5'11", 140, and he had a chance to come down with this. A little bit of a deflection there from the D-back, but the ball just went in and out of his hands. Aggressive move on first down after already getting that onside kick.
You see Dom Russo, 5 touchdown passes a season ago. We don't have his total touchdown passes this year, but he did have one last week against Brighton, and he had one, I believe, the week before against Madison Park. On second down, it's Martinez with a carry, and Hector picks up maybe 3 on the play as he's marked down at the 38-yard line.
It's a big tackle from Tim Lambright. He was the only guy really over there on the far side of the field. If Martinez had been able to get through that tackle, easily could have been looking at first down yardage, maybe even a touchdown.
So it'll be third down and a long 7 here for the Jets.
Got to figure this is 4-down territory, especially this early in the game. Try to get a touchdown here at home. That was a big stop for O'Brien. If you can somehow get a turnover on downs, a turnover in any way here, that would give your team a little bit of a jolt.
Now on third down, they hand off over the left side, and they pick up about 3 more. That's Nate Matera with the carry, the big fullback for the Jets.
And who else? Tim Lambright's in there on the tackle. Lambright maybe heard our message, and it has been a little bit more active as he went low there. Good, clean tackle. And this is more of what we expect to see from East Boston. Yes, they took the shot on first down, but they're going to see they have the advantage on the offensive line in terms of size. Maybe not experience, as John Parziale will call the early timeout. They graduated all 5 of their starting offensive linemen, but they have 2 huge guys on the outsides, and that's Dom Del Vecchio on the left tackle position, Andrew Allen on the right tackle. Between those 2 players, they combine for about 560 pounds. So pretty good size at the tackle spots, and that's why they're going to look to run a little bit more outside than inside, because they know those are their more proven players, and those are 2 of their bigger players.
Yeah, they graduated, East Boston graduated all of their linemen from last year, all their starting linemen from last year. But as you mentioned, those 2 big fellas, the bookends on the offensive line, those are the players that Coach Parziale pointed out as playing very well at the early part of the season, and it's nice to have that size as well.
Well, he also noted those were the guys who actually saw snaps at the varsity level last year, and that really helps because, let's be honest, even if your offensive line is fully healthy throughout a season, there's no way they're going to play every snap. There's too many bumps and bruises, and if you're in a big blowout or if you're getting blown out, you're going to give some younger guys a chance. So it's nice to have those guys having a couple of snaps to their name coming into this season when they're going to be relied upon heavily. It's a big play here, 4th and short on the first drive.
Handoff over the left side, and O'Brien does a good job getting in the backfield and making the stop. That was Christian Fuedo on the carry. He lost yardage, so turnover on downs as O'Brien will finally get their first possession of the game at their own 36-yard line.
Just a little bit of misdirection there, and that is a phenomenal form tackle. I believe it was 56, Desvi Arapa, the junior linebacker, and just met the player in the backfield. That's one of the bigger backs for either team, and Matera went down. It's a great response from O'Brien after being unable to field the initial kickoff to not give up points on this first drive.
Now on first down for the Tigers, the handoff up the middle to Javon Milton, who has nowhere to go and didn't pick up anything there.
Ball came out, but they're saying that the whistle blew first as an East Boston player. That's Josh Rivera, had his hands on it at the end, but the referees are not having any of it.
So you had Milton, who kind of bobbled that kickoff and lost it there for the Tigers. Then you have him almost fumble the football there. Maffeo, the quarterback, Milton and Pyram are in the backfield. And you got Francis and Lambright, the playmakers, on the outside for the Tigers.
Yeah, both of these teams are going to use 2 to 3 running backs throughout. Look for different looks out of the backfield and just especially for O'Brien, just trying to get the ball out quickly, trying for some of those wide receiver screens.
Izabazua also in the backfield now for the Tigers. They hand off to Milton on second down, and Javon tries to escape a couple tackles, but again, nowhere to go. Might have picked up a half a yard. And it's going to be third down and long for the Tigers.
Well, that shows the confidence that Kevin Gatson has in his sophomore back. He scored 3 touchdowns against Madison Park 2 weeks ago. A bit more of a scat back for this O'Brien team. But what I'm surprised by is they're running a little bit too close to the tackles. They can maybe get on the outside edge. That's where they have the advantage in terms of speed, and it might help their linemen a little bit as they're giving up some size and weight to that defensive line.
Third and almost 10 now for the Tigers. Out of the spread formation, Maffeo looking to throw over the right side. Ball is short, and it was caught, but caught at the 39-yard line, so nowhere near close to the first down, and the Tigers got to punt the football.
Yeah, Russo really didn't have a chance there because he had a player in his face right away. Actually, that's Maffeo, rather. It was Michael Zalea doing a great job of pressuring the quarterback. Even if he had had a second or two more, I don't know if anybody was going to get to the sticks, and forces a punt.
Miguel Restrepo back to receive for the East Boston Jets. He was the one that caught that long touchdown from Dom Russo. And a high spiraling kick here from O'Brien. That takes an O'Brien bounce. Restrepo now fields it right around the 25-yard line, and he's ran out of bounds at the 34, so about a 9-yard return there from Miguel Restrepo.
What a kick from Yoshitsune Howe. Don't see an offensive lineman take too many punts, but he got not only good airtime, a couple of good bounces, and that's a really nice shift in the field position after fumbling the initial kickoff, having this East Boston team at your own 35-40. Now East Boston has to start deep into their own half of the field.
So it was Restrepo who fielded it at the 26, brought it back to the 34. 8-yard return for Restrepo. Jets now with their second possession of the ball game. Now they're backed up into their own territory at the 34. You see a lot of coaches, especially after a turnover like we saw to start off the game for the Jets, try that shot play. Now you wonder, are the Jets going to kind of go back to their regular offense and start to run the ball a little bit and try to establish that?
Yeah, I mean, they went with the run game second, third, and fourth down. And I think it's a play that makes sense because you already had the momentum and just try to capitalize, really jump on the opponent. I don't think that they're really going to focus too much on the passing game until O'Brien can prove they can stop the run.
Fuedo gets the carry there on first down and picks up a nice chunk of yardage, about 6 on the play. Up to the 46-yard line.
Just good,
the 41-yard line, excuse me.
Good patient running, saw the gap, was able to cut through it, and then broke one tackle to get the first down. That's exactly, well, close to first down yards. That's exactly what East Boston's looking for, chunks on first down.
Yeah, 7-yard pickup there for Fuedo. So second down and 3 now. It's Matera, the bruising fullback. And we got a late flag on the play right around the line of scrimmage. We'll see what the call is.
Sometimes it's really easy to get your hand up around the helmet, and that's a costly penalty as it's going to shift the field position and give Eastie a little bit more momentum.
Yeah, 15 yards on that face mask penalty, so they'll have to walk that off. Big penalty to put the Jets into O'Brien territory, and they also give them a first down.
First down of the game.
That's right. Neither offense has really gotten much going. Even though that was a penalty, the Jets didn't get the first down on that run, so neither offense has really produced a first down yet. Jets now in great field position at the O'Brien 44. We'll see if the second time around having good field position will get them going a little bit. Now on first down, nice cut by Fuedo to the outside. Fuedo pulled down at the 29, and 15-yard pickup there for Christian, and so far he's been their best back.
2 rushes, about 22 yards. That's a great average. And again, it's that patient running. Got the fullback leading for him. He's not touched for the first 6-7 yards. And then a nice job to get outside Fuedo's looked very good, and he wasn't one of the guys that was necessarily spotlighted by Coach John Parziale this week.
Now on first down, they run it again up to the 25. And that was Fuedo again. I'm sorry, that was Casey Vasquez on the carry.
And it's interesting, we thought Angelo Blake coming off an injury might be a bit more of a bell cow today. We haven't called his name, but it doesn't seem to matter. The line is getting a great push, and this was what O'Brien was a little bit afraid of. Can their line keep that offensive line out of that second level and allow the linebackers to really spear and attack the ball carrier?
Now on second down, it's Fuedo with the carry, and he makes his way up to the 22. Make that the 23. So short pickup there on second down. Sorry, that was Angelo Blake, so he's got his first carry of the game.
Yeah, I'm not sure how good he's going to feel after Sean Vassell roped him down there. A little bit of an awkward tackle. This is where O'Brien has been successful. Third and fourth and short, they've done a nice job of getting a little bit of penetration. It's first down that they've actually given up most of their yardage.
Yeah, it'll be 3rd and 4 now for the Jets. From the O'Brien 23-yard line. Now Dom Russo doesn't like what he sees. He's going to call timeout.
Yeah, that's already the second time we've seen John Parziale call a timeout on offense, recognizing the fact that getting an early touchdown would help his team. They did get a big win last week, but he wants to make sure it's 2-0 and that they hold down this O'Brien offense.
Jets now about to face with a 3rd and 4. And it looks like
it's an O'Brien timeout.
Tigers now want to call a timeout. So O'Brien now wants to try talk about things. They set up for 3rd and about 4. Our sideline reporter Noah Riley's got an update for us. Noah, what do you have?
Thanks, guys. I have an update from the O'Brien side of the ball. Desri Rapa, starting defensive end, actually went down with an injury last drive. He's back out there, though, looking healthy. Looks like he just bumped knees. Thanks, guys, and back to you.
Thanks very much, Noah. So we'll see if that has any effect on the defense for the Tigers.
It's good news for O'Brien. I saw the trainers being called over there. Rapa had that huge 4th down tackle. Seems to be one of the bigger players out there on the defense.
Shooting through the gap there for the Tigers, and they make the tackle in the backfield as Vasquez was in on the carry.
Yeah, Malik Thomas able to make the tackle, but on the other side, it was a really nice play by player on O'Brien. We don't have a 17 on our roster, but give him a ton of credit. Quarterback fortunate to just get that handoff across, and now it's 4th and 7 rather than 4th and 3, 4th and 4.
Tough 4th down and 7 now for the Jets. Russo looking to throw over the right side. He's got Rivera, who makes a great catch in front of the goal line.
Well, there's some miscommunication there. I think Lambright was supposed to be over alongside Jaden Smith. Jaden Smith was almost in the end zone there with 2 wide receivers running, and Russo had his choice. A really nice ball down the sideline. It was a great catch by Jaleel Davis, and all of a sudden Eastie right at the goal line.
So Rivera with the catch now on first down. The handoff to Matera, the fullback, and he's in for a touchdown.
Well, Eastie doesn't want to throw the ball, but thus far we've seen 2 really good throws from Russo, essentially the same route. Ball down the right sideline towards the pylon, and both times he's thrown an almost perfect ball as Eastie takes the lead.
So that big 4th down conversion on the connection to Josh Rivera fueled that drive along with that face mask penalty. So now the Jets going to try for the 2-point conversion here with about 4.5 minutes left to go in the first quarter. Handoff to Fuedo, and he is met at the line of scrimmage and will not get in. So no 2-point conversion for the Jets. But they do capitalize on an 8-play, 66-yard drive with a touchdown from Nate Matera. As we mentioned, big pass to Rivera, and of course that face mask penalty. You know, a lot of teams, especially in the early part of the season, have had a tough time with penalties. And at this point, you got to think if you're a coach, this is the stuff you got to clean up at this point in the season.
Yeah, and that one's tough because it was difficult for us to see the physical penalty by Rapa. And face mask is one of those harder things because it's a lot of times it's inadvertent. No one actually plans on grabbing the face mask and holding on. You know that's a cardinal sin. You know you're going to get called for it. But what I've liked thus far is O'Brien's been really tough on that short yardage defense. The only issue is that Russo, who's supposed to be a guy that you can stack the box against and force him to throw, he's looked good. That big throw was the difference in that drive. That was a 4th down completion for 26 yards.
Milton fields this one at the 33, and now with a good return all the way up to the 48-yard line. So a 15-yard kick return there for Javon Milton, who fumbled the first kickoff.
Fumbled the first kickoff, but you can see why he's out there. Good speed, a nice cutback. And now for O'Brien, your defense has been out on the field a lot thus far. You've only ran 3 offensive plays. Can you at least get a first down here? Can you give your defense a little bit of a rest, even though a lot of these players are playing both ways?
Yeah, Luke Maffeo there, 6 passing touchdowns through the first 3 games of the season. So you know he can throw the football. His brother's the starter over at Latin Academy, Zach Maffeo. So 2 twin brothers, sophomores, starting for Boston City League football teams.
But can they give him enough time? The only time he rolled out on a pass, he was immediately met by defensive end.
Milton gets it again here on first down, and again nowhere to go, and actually lost a yard.
His penetration from Eastie's defensive line has been really impressive. O'Brien, I'm sure the coaches have focused on it this week, ways to get some misdirection, but at this point, can't really run anything if you don't have any time.
It's a 2-yard loss that time for Milton, so it'll be 2nd and 12 now for O'Brien. Getting in on the stop on that last play was number 86 for the Jets, Johan Cefantis. He's got 3 tackles now here in the first quarter. 2nd down and 12 for the Tigers. Pitch it over the right side to Milton. This time he's got a seam. Javon Milton in the open space. Blake trying to wrestle him down inside the 30, down to the 29-yard line. So big time run from the sophomore back.
That's what O'Brien needs to do. Get the ball outside. Force one of the cornerbacks to make a stop. Get away from the defensive line. A nice block there by number 52 in white. That's Yoshitsune Howe, one of the more versatile linemen. The only question I have here for Milton is, why are you cutting back inside? Yes, the extra yards are nice, but it also makes it easier to force a fumble. And when you're cutting back inside, there's typically more defenders rather than blockers for your team.
29-yard pickup there for Javon Milton, but we have a flag on the play.
Typically, if it's coming that far downfield, it's a block in the back by one of the guys who's trying to create a little bit more room for Milton.
Not sure if there was a penalty or if he just stepped out of bounds. That might be the call here. They have the ball spotted at the East Boston 44-yard line, so he must have stepped out of bounds. Now they're trying to figure out if it was a first down by getting to that distance, because they actually started on the 48. Their own 48, rather, so it actually shouldn't be a first down. They should be short of the first down after that run if they had stepped out of bounds at where they have the ball marked. Let's take a look at a replay.
So you see the pitch out to Nilton, and it doesn't look like he steps out of bounds. There has to be a flag. You maybe saw a little laundry farther back. Just a great job there of staying up. But, again, that youth, he's already at 1 point.
On the offense, 10-yard penalty. 2nd down.
So some kind of – so we got a hold on, it looks like Jaden Smith. So it must have been, it's a spot foul, so it must have been towards the end of the play. So it'll be 2nd down and about 4 now for, or 3 rather, for the Tigers.
Still the best play of the day for this O'Brien team.
Good pass over the middle there to Smith, and he is in for a touchdown. So Smith commits a penalty, then catches a touchdown from Luke Maffeo.
Yeah, that's one way to make up for it. A beautiful throw from Maffeo, and he did a nice job of leading Smith, who was able to see a ton of space to his left, easily won the foot race. That's a great ball, 20 to 25 yards downfield, and see the the line gave him just enough time. There were 3 blue shirts right in front of Maffeo, but he steps into the throw, and then it's just a foot race, and Jaden Smith isn't losing that one.
46-yard touchdown connection from Luke Maffeo to Jaden Smith. We're tied up at 6. There you see Coach Gatson. Pretty happy that he just put up a touchdown here on the road in East Boston. Now Tigers looking to take the lead with a 2-point conversion.
4 wide receiver set. They're going to look to throw this ball and get a one-on-one matchup.
Maffeo looking to throw. And he stripped from behind. Tigers pick it up. Did they bring it in? No, they did not. I think the offensive lineman's knee was down short of the goal line. But Tigers coming up with a touchdown pass. Let's take a look at the replay.
Yeah, Maffeo had a wide receiver open. I think that might have actually been an incomplete pass. It kind of looked like he was trying to pitch it ahead. But he had a wide receiver open after an East Boston player went down, and he just couldn't see him because, again, that pass rush, Maffeo is going to be hunted tonight, and he's just got to stand in there and hope that his wide receivers can get open in time for him to release the ball.
Yeah, that was Amir Johnson getting in to strip the football from Maffeo. So no 2-point conversion for the Tigers. We're tied up at 6 here with about 3:30 left to go in the first quarter. Both teams really showing what they normally do. I mean, you got the Jets, who are a kind of ground and pound, drive it down the field team. You got the Tigers, who always have the good speed, the good athletes. They're the explosive team.
Yeah, but don't sleep on Dom Russo. He was the reason that Eastie scored that first touchdown with a big completion on 4th down.
Restrepo fields this one at the 16-yard line, now has a crease down the right sideline. Miguel Restrepo brought down right around the 46.
Restrepo is the speed receiver on the offense, a 31-yard return, and a nice job of finding the sideline on his home sideline. He's able to get a couple of blocks, and then he tries to cut back here, looking to go all the way. A nice job of getting back by Osamedi Izabuzua.
Yeah, Izabuzua. That's a tough one. We had an Izabuzua last year on Latin Academy. He was their featured back. That's the only way I know how to pronounce that name.
I'm really glad you got that one because we have some difficult names in this game, but
that might be at the top of the list.
Yeah, there's lots of vowels in there with a couple of consonants you don't typically see.
So now on 1st down for the Jets from the 47, it's Russo going to the air again. That one's thrown short and tipped. Smith actually became the receiver on that one. Restrepo became the defensive back.
It's interesting. East Boston has thrown 3 times, and it's been the same route to the same side every single time. Eastie maybe doesn't trust the arm strength of Russo to go to the far side where it's a little bit of a longer throw, but he clearly can make that throw. Just didn't get quite enough on that particular one. But all 3 times, it's been right there with the receiver. We haven't seen any extreme over or under throws.
Dom Russo now 1 for 3 through the air, 26 yards.
And I think we've got an O'Brien player who's bleeding. He's pleading his case that he should stay on, but it looks like Michael Brooks, one of the backup quarterbacks and a starting linebacker, is going to have to get off and get taped up.
Yeah, the Tigers don't want him out for too long. Against Latin School, I remember he made a lot of tackles at the line of scrimmage and in the backfield out of that inside linebacker position.
And they'll bring on Ezekiel Jean Jules, senior, so got another strong player coming out.
Decent amount of fans here tonight for East Boston, who usually has very good community support here in the neighborhood.
Well, it helps that the rain hopefully is done for the day. It's a little cool, a little gray, but it's turned out to be a pretty nice evening here in Eastie.
Yeah, we were worried coming into today that the rain was going to bleed into the game, but it cleared out about a couple hours ago. So,
and it helps both of these quarterbacks. It makes it a little easier to grip the ball, makes the running backs a little bit easier to hold on to it.
Now on 2nd down, they pitch it to Fuedo on the outside, and a good form tackle that time by Timmy Lambright after a gain of 2.
Well, Tim hasn't made a huge impact offensively yet, but he's come up with some big tackles. He's that free safety on defense who's just allowed to go wherever to make the big play, and he's done a nice job of tackling low and wrapping up because he's not as big there as Christian Fuedo, but it's really hard to continue running when your legs have been taken out.
Third tackle so far for Timmy Lambright here in the first quarter as the clock ticks down to about 2:30 left to go here in the first. And now the Tigers want to call a timeout. 2:27 left to go here in the quarter. Still tied up at 6. And the Jets, again, faced with a 3rd and long. And as you mentioned before, the Jets were picking up big yardage on first down through that for the first 2 drives, really. So now it's 3rd down, and we'll see what they can come up with. They haven't been that successful on 3rd down so far.
No, they haven't been able to be that successful because a lot of their 3rd downs have been 3rd and short 3rd manageable, and they're trying to run, and they're not successful. It's interesting here. We thought, at least I thought, that it was 4-down territory in that first drive, and they did go for it and were unsuccessful. Here closer to midfield in a tie game, I think you might actually be punting. So this is a situation where maybe you do throw the ball, recognizing you've been struggling on 3rd and short.
Folks, if you want to follow us on social media, you can go to our Facebook page. Go to facebook.com/GameOfTheWeekBoston. A lot of good stuff up there. You can also follow us on Twitter @BostonCityTV. And if you want to tweet at us, use the hashtag BostonGOW. 3rd down and 8 now for the Jets. Russo again to throw, this time over the left side. He's got his receiver.
That ball bounced on the turf. The question is, was it a catch first or not? O'Brien is pleading that it was a catch and a fumble, and it looks like they're going to rule it that way. Restrepo was the man who caught that ball, and he can't believe they're calling that a catch.
Okay, so it was a fumble, and the Tigers will get it back. I didn't see a signal that it was Tigers' ball just yet, but might have happened already.
The head referee was behind the play and was pointing O'Brien's way.
Okay, so it is O'Brien football.
We saw this 2 weeks ago on what looks like a controversial play live, but we had a great replay of it where it's such a quick decision there for the referees of, is that enough for a catch? And the NFL referees struggle with it.
No,
I can't imagine how much harder it is here for high school referees, but a quick decision, and that was pretty bang. Does he have enough possession there for that ball to count as a fumble? According to the referees, Restrepo did catch the ball and then was forced into the fumble.
So Tigers take over at their own 49-yard line now on 1st down. Again with their spread formation. Low snap. Maffeo can't hang on to it. He finally jumps on it. So almost another turnover there as both teams struggling with hanging on to the football. And, we mentioned that the rain did clear out. The field was a little wet coming into the game, so I'm wondering if it's not completely dried out yet. Maybe that ball's a little slick right now.
Yeah, I think also on that play you have Tim Lambrick going in motion in front of the quarterback, and maybe it just distracts him a little bit. He's thinking about, okay, this is what I need to do. I know I only have so much time, and he's lucky that he was able to fend off Amir Johnson, who was into the backfield quick.
This time the handoff to Milton, and Milton with a nice carry up back to right around the 49-yard line. So almost back to the original line of scrimmage.
Javon Milton's only 5'5", 155, but they trust him here between the tackles, and he just takes the little hole that he's given, and a nice, strong run. Milton has been very exciting when he has the ball in his hands.
4 rushes, 38 yards now for Milton. Now on 3rd down, the handoff to Milton again, and the whistle's blown. There's a whistle blown before the play even started, so they're going to bring this one back.
Yeah, I think they got O'Brien for a false start. The coaches don't like it. Almost forces O'Brien here into passing the ball.
False start on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Replay. 3rd down.
Absolutely right, Seth. So that's going to back the Tigers up 5. So it'll be 3rd and 15 now. Much tougher to pick up a 1st down. You're already in 3rd and long, then you get that 5-yard penalty. It just makes things even more difficult.
Well, the big thing here for O'Brien is you're confident in your wide receiver's ability to get room. You're confident in Maffeo's ability to make the pass. The only thing here is O'Brien's offensive line has to know they're going to see a heavy pass rush here trying to get to Maffeo. Can you give him enough time to pick out an open wide receiver? Because we've already seen him throw a dart for a touchdown the last possession.
See what Maffeo can do here. 3rd and 15 now for the Tigers. Football at the O'Brien 44-yard line. Maffeo facing a rush. He's going to be sacked in the backfield. Jets getting a lot of pressure, and getting in there for East Boston was number 86, Afontes, and also Dom Del Vecchio, the big 76.
Maffeo double clutches right here. Needed to get rid of the ball, and he just doesn't have enough time. Well, if you're going to clutch there, you got to throw the ball out of bounds because East Boston is going to get to you. It's a certainty. It's just how long do you have? And I'm a little surprised he didn't just dump it down to Javon Milton, who was an option on that right flank. Probably wouldn't have gotten the 15 yards, but he might have gotten 7 or 8. Maybe he breaks a tackle.
So Yoshi Howe back to kick. Another spiraling punt. This one a little lower. And Tigers going to down it right around the 28-yard line.
I love it. Yoshi Howe, offensive line, defensive line, punter. You don't see it often, and he's had 2 great punts in this game.
You know, in high school football, if you have a good punter or a good kicker, you're almost ahead of the game with whoever you play because it's so difficult to field those 2 positions at the high school level.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of places your quarterback is your kicker and your punter because he's one of your best athletes. I kind of want to see Howe try to kick a field goal or point after attempt because he has pretty solid form from the punting position.
So now the Jets with the football on 1st down at their own 29-yard line. They pitch it over the right side to Fuedo, and he's wrapped up in the backfield at the 26. So a 2-yard loss there for Christian Fuedo.
Almost wonder if John Parziale is saving Angelo Blake a little bit for the second half because the way this first half is gone, East Boston has been able to get a nice push. Maybe they can wear down that defensive line and bring Blake in, who's a little bit more versatile.
Folks, that's going to do it for the first quarter here at Sartori Stadium. We're tied up at 6 thanks to this big-time pass from Maffeo to Smith. We'll be right back with the second quarter here on Game of the Week right after these words. Don't go away.
Red hat. Oops. Red shirt, blue shirt, yellow shirt. Oops. Yellow pants, red pants, green pants. Oops.
We just finished dinner and it was time for homework. He hates homework.
It makes no sense.
I don't know how he finds anything in his backpack.
I can't find my backpack.
I couldn't even read his handwriting.
Holding the pencil makes my hand hurt.
I know he's bright.
Why is it so hard for me?
He's
I'm
just
trying
gotta
as
try a
hard
little
as
harder.
I can.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. Go to understood.org, a free online resource with support and tools to help your child thrive.
Welcome back to Sartori Stadium in East Boston as the East Boston Jets are tied up with the O'Brien Tigers at 6 apiece. We're just about ready to start the second quarter here in Eastie. Jets with the football after a 2-yard loss on 1st down. They're faced with a 2nd down and 12. And both these teams seems like when they start off that 1st down play and lose yardage, it's just uphill sledding for them the whole time.
Well, O'Brien's defensive line has done a much better job of getting into the backfield than we expected. I mean, yes, East Boston lost their entire starting offensive line, and you can't stress that point enough, but they're still a lot bigger than this smaller O'Brien line, and yet O'Brien's been able to find the seams in the offensive line, get around them, and make quite a few tackles for loss. It's funny because the biggest rushes in this game have actually come on the O'Brien side, and some of the biggest passes have come from the East Boston side. So both of these teams maybe doing some of the things they didn't expect to do well in this game. They're just some of their strengths haven't shown as much as we expected either.
Right now they're trying to get the clock on the scoreboard correct. We started off the quarter with a 10-minute first quarter. They actually play 11 minutes, so just trying to fix things on the scoreboard before we get things rolling here in the second quarter.
Just gives John Parziale a little bit more time to work with Dom Russo. Maybe a different call, maybe something to look for on this play. They were close the first time when they had 10 minutes and then 11 seconds.
Yeah, the 0-0 just doesn't help anybody right now. There we go. So we got 11 minutes now up on the scoreboard. We're ready to start the second quarter. Second down and 12 for the East Boston Jets.
That's as obvious as any false start you're ever going to see. Two players went in motion at the same time, and Eastie cost themselves 5 yards, and that's a cardinal sin. You talked about the penalties. You're coming out of the quarter, then you get an extra minute of time to really know the play, think about the play, and then you false start knowing the motion's going to come across. That's 5 yards you can't afford to give up, especially the way that O'Brien has been in terms of stopping the run.
For high school kids, it's almost like they had a little too much time to think on that one. Second and 17 now for the Jets as Fuedo's a man in motion. Russo back to throw over the right side, almost intercepted.
Great play by Jaden Smith. Got there at the exact right time. So many times you see a defender get in there a little bit too early, but Smith made contact just as the ball got there. It looked like it was going to be an easy completion for close to first down yardage, and instead Smith, the lone high safety, showing that he's a pretty talented player on both sides of the ball.
So Smith making big plays both on offense and defense so far for the Tigers. So Jets now faced with a tough third down and 17.
That was a nice play call, though, by Parziale. You had Fuedo going in motion as if there's potentially going to be a run, but he immediately went out into the flat. Eastie had O'Brien caught off guard a little bit, if not for the play of Smith.
Russo now to Rivera, and Josh Rivera trying to break away, but he's brought down right around the 28-yard line. That tackle that time by Omi Grell. Coming up with the stop for the Tigers.
First time we've called Rivera's name on offense, and he's one of their best receivers. It's a tight end screen, but it really looks more like a running back screen. And a great job to hold on to this ball as Omi came in, and he was very close to stripping it away.
So Jets will now punt on fourth down. High snap for Rivera. Punt is blocked by the Tigers. O'Brien going to recover right around the 28. Huge play on special teams there for the Tigers. They are set up beautifully now to start off their first possession of the second quarter.
Well, both teams have made mistakes now on special teams. You saw the fumble from O'Brien on the initial kickoff. That's a big one because this is the best field position either team has had to start a drive.
You see Brooks, the one getting in there for the punt block. I'm sorry, Brooks is the one who recovered the ball. So
it was Javon Milton and a player that we just couldn't quite get his name, get his number. This is an interesting play, Pat. I'm expecting O'Brien to look to go for it all, try to capitalize after they had that big play on special teams.
You saw Eastie take the shot the first time around when they had a special teams play like that. Milton this time on first down, nowhere to go.
Of course, you go with the delayed handoff, trying to catch the defense off guard because they're thinking exactly what I did. And Milton, if not for the nice arm tackle there from Jose Rubin, probably would have had first down yardage, maybe a little bit more. They're already close to the red zone at this point, so that would have put them in great position if not for the nice tackle by the defensive tackle.
Second down and 9 now for the Tigers. Maffeo bobbles that snap as well. And Coach Parziale is saying that it's Eastie ball, but it's going to stay with the Tigers.
So Coach Parziale is hoping because it's the second time that we've seen quarterback for O'Brien, Maffeo, go down there with the defensive player. Maffeo's won that battle twice. That snap was just a little bit too hard and too high. It caught Maffeo off guard. And the center's just got to be a little bit more cognizant. Maybe Maffeo wasn't totally focused, wasn't ready for it, but that one looked like it was very close to airmailing its way over the head of Maffeo. Not a good start to this drive, though, after they got that big punt block. We're in tremendous starting field position.
3rd down and 13 now for the Tigers. Maffeo. Looked like he was trying to set up a screen. Now he's going to tuck it in and run. And Luke Maffeo is going to make his way up to the 22-yard line. So about an 8-yard run there for Maffeo. So it sets up the Tigers with a little bit more manageable chance on a 4th down.
And you knew you were going 4 downs here. He was looking for Tim Lambright, and the flat just didn't like the play. But what I like there from Maffeo is he steps up. All of the defensive line is already behind him, so he sees he has a little bit of space, has one defender to evade, and now it sets up 4th and manageable. He has a couple different options for the offensive coordinator for this O'Brien team.
4th down and 7. And we get a flag on the play. Early movement, I think. Yeah, it's a false start there on the Tigers, so that'll back them up 5. So they'll be faced with a 4th down and 12 now. Both these teams with some self-inflicted wounds here in the 2nd quarter.
John Parziale was the 5th referee out there, about 5 yards onto the field, screaming, "There's movement, there's movement." The sideline official asked him to take a couple steps back and promptly throws the flag. Parziale was right, though. There was a little bit of movement, and that's a costly mistake at 4th and 12. Now you're forced to pass the ball. You can't think about that inside handoff, and here comes the East Boston pass rush. This line has to give Maffeo enough time to get the pass off.
4th down and 12 now for the Tigers. Maffeo back to throw over the middle, had a receiver, 2 receivers in the area. You had Timmy Lambright and Izabazua. The ball behind Izabazua, so it falls incomplete. Jets take over on downs.
Again, though, the pass rush was right there, possibly impacted. You see he has to step up there, and his footwork was just wrong. It was a really nice job on the pass rush by Amir Johnson to put some pressure on the quarterback. Maffeo had 2 wide receivers open behind the sticks and just couldn't quite get the ball where it needed to be. Neither team's really taking advantage. We've seen 2 turnovers, maybe 3, and neither team's really been able to take advantage of them.
So Jets now take over at their own 28 on 1st down. They hand off over the right side. This time it's Hector Martinez, who makes his way up to the 34.
And this has been a balanced attack for East Boston. 5 different rushers saw the ball in the first half. Martinez is the big playback for this team. And he didn't really have enough room to create a big play there, but a nice gain on 1st down. And now 2nd and 5. This is actually where Eastie struggled. When O'Brien has to expect the run, this is where they've been really good at stopping it. When it's 1st and 10 or even 3rd and 8, 4th and 10, that's when East Boston's had a little bit more success throwing the ball.
2nd down and 4 now for the Jets. They try to sweep over the right side and nowhere to go with it. Get some penetration there for O'Brien. It looks like Lambright got in there along with Vassell.
Yeah, nowhere for Johan Safantes to go for East Boston. Made a nice defensive play earlier, but again, O'Brien's been really good when it's been a clear and obvious running play. It's been a balanced attack thus far for East Boston. 35-ish rushing yards versus 37 passing yards.
Third down and 6 now for the Jets. After play action, Russo down the right side. Rivera couldn't come up with it. Good defense that time from Lambright. It looked like Smith was also over there.
Yeah, it's a bit of an awkward release point for Russo, but he got the ball there. And again, one of the smaller safeties who just comes out with a great play. Lambright able to attack that ball, put a little pressure on Rivera. And now the question here for East Boston is, can they keep the players for O'Brien who are trying to block this punt from doing the same thing? Because otherwise it's going to be similar field position.
Really high snap for Rivera. He can still kick it if he wants, but he's going to try to run it. So 2 disastrous punt attempts from the Jets. And O'Brien will again take over deep inside Jet territory, this time at the 24.
That's so frustrating for East Boston. You're able to make up for the fact that you had a punt blocked by getting a 4th down stump, and now that ball's just too high for Rivera. Even if he was able to have a little bit of space, there were players rushing in after him. This has been an issue for them. Special teams has cost them in a couple of games. Their defense has only given up 3 touchdowns, but they've given up a couple of touchdowns on special teams and on offense.
Tigers now on 1st down. Going back, another high snap for the Tigers. And this time, Maffeo can't hang on to it, but looked like one of the running backs got in there to recover. It was Izabazua who was able to pounce on it.
Feels like we're watching a game of hot potato.
Neither team can hang on to the football right now.
Yeah, just a slew of bad snaps on either side. And again, we saw this on the last drive for O'Brien. You get good field positions after a special teams miscue by East Boston, and you immediately back yourself up and make it a lot more difficult just to get the 1st down, much less the touchdown.
A lot of these high school teams, and you see it a lot in college as well, have just gone to this spread offense where you're in shotgun the entire time, but the problem is you don't get a good snap. It ruins your whole play.
You see it right in front of the sideline for us. Elvis Escobar is practicing his long snap.
That's picked off by Restrepo right around the 14. Miguel Restrepo now looking for a return as he cuts back up the middle of the field. Miguel Restrepo still dancing right around the 35. He's brought down at the 39-yard line. We get a flag at the end of the run.
What a return from Restrepo. Just a ball that was airmailed a little bit, intended for Lambright. And Restrepo just shows off his offensive skills. Had a 60-yard touchdown reception last week. And Pat, we weren't there, but I assume that Restrepo had a similar kind of play.
I believe it was a face mask there on the Tigers.
And that's the 2nd one for O'Brien. It's costly. It played a big factor in the first touchdown they allowed. And East Boston's going to go from backed up in their own end defensively to after the interception, they're already across midfield, and they've done that a couple times today.
So 23-yard return for Restrepo. Tack on another 15 there for the Jets, and now they have the football at the 45 of the O'Brien Tigers. I think that's 46.
Mistakes and inconsistency was a big reason why both of these teams struggled a season ago, not reaching their normal program marks, and we've seen more of that today. Both teams a little bit young and not being consistent enough.
Russo back to throw. He's going to lose the ball. O'Brien recovered, and Brooks brings it up to the 40. Neither team wants the football right now. The ball's just going back and forth on possessions multiple times here in the 2nd quarter.
That's the 3rd turnover on the last 4 plays. And Tom Russo, yes, you're only in your 2nd year as a starter, but you're a senior. Get rid of the ball. Just throw it away. Sometimes it's hard to give up on a play, but save your offense. And now, because it was such a big loss, all of a sudden you see O'Brien starting on the plus side of the field. And this is a chance for O'Brien, if they can take care of it on 1st down and not have a negative play on 1st or 2nd down, to actually take the lead for the first time in this game. I say a chance because the way these two teams are playing, we could see another turnover on this play or the next play. And it hasn't necessarily been great defensive play. It's just been some costly mistakes.
Russo talking to Coach Parziali now as they figure out what's going on with that rush. Meanwhile, the Tigers now at the East Boston 42-yard line. On 1st down, the handoff to Milton. And Milton's bottled up right around the 44.
But I love the play call by Kevin Gatson. Give it to the guy who
41,
he has one fumble, but he's looked pretty good running with the ball. And just give yourself a chance to have a play where you're not going, what just happened? Even if you don't get anything there, you don't lose any yardage, and you give yourself another chance on offense. Because the last 2 offensive plays previous to that, both teams had turned the ball over. Angelo Blake, the guy we expected to see a big game offensively for East Boston, actually has more tackles for Eastie than he has rushes thus far in this game.
2nd down and 9 now for the Tigers. It's Izabazua with the carry. Big hole for him. Izabazua past the 20, up to the 14, make that the 16-yard line, I believe, is where they're going to mark him down. Make that the 50.
O'Brien going against their tendencies. They like to throw the ball an inside handoff, and look at this block by Lambright, avoiding the block in the back. Made sure he caught the shoulder pads. Otherwise, that's going to be a 10-yard penalty, and that huge gain is going to be negated to only a 5 or 6 yard gain.
Yeah, we've certainly seen a couple of these plays before where there was either a hold or a block in the back. Lose some of that yardage. So good job by Lambright. It's Izabazua again on the carry. This time the Jets key on him, and he's got nowhere to go.
And why not? Izabazua just had a huge gain on 2nd down. Give the ball to him again. I like the fact that O'Brien is trying these inside draws. Yes, they don't have the size necessarily, but they've been having some success. And again, it takes a little bit of pressure off of Maffeo, who's still just a sophomore. He started 4 consecutive years, but this is a different level at the varsity level. He doesn't feel like he has to make a play on 1st down.
2nd and 9 now for the Tigers. Maffeo hands off to Milton, who stays on his feet and works his way up to the 10. So making something out of nothing is the sophomore Javon Milton.
Maffeo has some terrific hands. That was another line drive snap. Look how high it gets, and he's able to pull it down. A little bit of a bobble from Milton, but able to hold down, and now it's 3rd and manageable here. This is obviously 4-down territory if you're an O'Brien fan.
And Nate Matera with the tackle that time for the Jets. 3rd down and 5 now for the Tigers, and Coach Parziale wants to call a timeout.
Well, not only does East Boston not want to give up points here, and maybe they didn't like what they saw on the offensive formation, but with 2:37 left, you also have to think about the timeouts you have in the first half. Can you save enough clock to give your offense a chance to potentially go down the field and score again before halftime?
Yeah, this possession is huge right here, like you mentioned, Seth. Tigers, we're getting down to almost 2:30, 2.5 minutes left to go here in the first half. You got to think the Tigers, if they can put up a score here, it would be tough for the Jets to then drive down the field the way that they play to pick up a score and tie it up before halftime. So if the Tigers can get that score, they're not getting the ball to start the 3rd quarter, so that could be a huge score for them going into halftime.
Yeah, I mean, that's the positive for East Boston. You kicked off to start the game, and you immediately picked up a fumble. So even though you started the game with the first offensive play of the game, you also get to start the second half with the first offensive play. So giving up a score here isn't disastrous, but for this East Boston team that doesn't have the big play capabilities of O'Brien, or at least doesn't pride themselves on that, they want to keep O'Brien out here. A 6-6 tie going into halftime is a win for East Boston. O'Brien feels like they should have the lead with the opportunities they've been given here in the 2nd quarter.
Milton fumbles the football and recovers after the fumble on the pitch, but he recovers at the 18, and anytime these teams get to 3rd and short, they have a tough time even gaining positive yardage.
The pitch was there, but the player was in the backfield. Again, it's Amir Johnson. We've called his name so many times. He is quick into the backfield, and Milton has struggled a little bit. We saw him bobble on the previous play where he's able to hang on. Now the question is, and it's been the question all day, can the offensive line of O'Brien give Maffeo enough time for him to find a target? But we're going to get another timeout.
Coach Parziale calls another one, just under 2 minutes left to go in the 2nd quarter.
The good news is if you're O'Brien right now, losing that yardage could actually help you on a pass play because it gives you a little bit more room. When you're in the red zone, sometimes it's difficult to throw because the defenders don't have to worry about you going over the top because there's only so much room. Now when you're backed up to the 18, it gives the receivers a little bit more room to find space in amongst the defenders as you see the East Boston safeties lined up at about the 5 rather than at the goal line.
That's a good point, Seth. That's why it's so difficult to score in the red zone. Tigers just barely in the red zone right now, so they do have a little more room. Maffeo over the right side looking for Francis, but that ball was broken up. Nice job there by Hector Martinez, who comes up with the deflection.
Interesting decision, interesting play call. Francis is well short of the sticks. I mean, that ball was at about the 15. They needed to get inside the 10, and there was 2 defenders right there. But also, we haven't seen O'Brien keep the running back in there on an obvious 4th down passing play and use him as a blocker. We keep seeing the smaller Javon Milton in on 4th downs, and they put him out into the flat, hoping that maybe he can be wide open enough to gain a big yardage. Personally, I'd like to see if you do have a solid running back who can give you a block, put a 6-player back there blocking and give your receivers a chance to get to the 6, because that's a lot of yards to ask for on 4th down, 13 yards.
Jets now on 1st down, hand off to Martinez, who just made that deflection, and he picks up about 3 on the play.
And there's no rush right now for Eastie unless they pick up a big gain here. They're not really looking to score a touchdown. They're looking to kill off this clock, go to halftime, get the ball back. They've had some positives in this game, and a big part has been their defense. Their defense has been put in some difficult situations, and they've come up clutch on their half of the field.
2nd down and 7 now for the Jets. This time Russo going to try to go to the air. Throws incomplete, way too high for his receiver on that one.
Pat, it's really interesting. Russo throws the ball at right next to his helmet. He comes out with such a low release point. I'm surprised that O'Brien's players aren't just trying to go up for the tip, but it leads to a really tight spiral that's a line drive, and sometimes that's a harder ball to catch because instead of coming in at your chest, a lot of times you're seeing the ball up at the hands or above the helmet of these receivers. I walked by during warm-ups and I was noticing that, and that just might be the fact that Russo is still learning the position. Just his 2nd year as a starter. Maybe he's a converted player, but just doesn't look all that comfortable on the throws.
And I think the Tigers want to call timeout here.
Well, you've got 3rd and 7. Depending on how many timeouts left they have, you can get a stop here and call a timeout, or if it's another incompletion, you could get the ball back. And we've seen they do have that big play capability, at least when they're not too close to the goal line.
So like you mentioned, big play here, 3rd and 7. If the Jets go to the air and throw an incomplete pass, the Tigers will be getting it back with probably just under a minute left to go. That does give them a little bit of time. Especially, they might get some decent field position here too, maybe even inside Jet territory.
Well, and that's if East Boston can get a punt off, because remember, they've attempted 2 punts.
Absolutely.
One was blocked. The second was a high snap, got away from Rivera, and Rivera was able to pick it off, but he tried to run for a 1st down. So that's got to be in the head of Kevin Gatson. The other thing is, in high school football, you get extra timeouts. So even though we've seen both of these teams use a couple timeouts, O'Brien still has 1 left. So if there's an incompletion, then they'll have a timeout to use on offense.
Minute 15 left to go here in the 2nd quarter. We're tied up at 6. Jets now faced with a 3rd down and 7. Let's see what East Boston can do here. Dom Russo going to hand it off to Blake. Angelo wrapped up in the backfield. So Parziale, Coach Parziale going a little conservative there, trying to kill some clock. And I believe the Tigers just called a timeout.
You have to here. You want to see this punt. That was a tremendous tackle by Michael Brooks. We saw him come off because he had a cut on a couple drives earlier. He's back on the field, and that's a huge tackle. O'Brien surprisingly has as many tackles in the backfield for a loss, if not more, than East Boston does, despite the fact that East Boston seems to be in the backfield on every single play. This is such a huge snap, and it's going to be Elvis Escobar, a true freshman, who's the long snapper.
We had some early movement there. It was a good snap, but I think the Jets are going to be called for a false start.
That is an absolute killer. Escobar finally makes the connections after working with it on the sidelines. So now he's got one good one, but can he make it 2 in a row? The other thing is, wasn't a very good punt from Rivera. Yes, it was high, but it's kind of a low. It didn't have that much hang time. And with Lambright back, it also looks like for O'Brien, you've got Anthony Francis on the far side. Those are 2 big-time playmakers who are waiting at the 40-yard line. Rivera hits a similar punt, this could be a return back close to the 20-yard line with plenty of time left.
You got Lambert and Francis back there. Jets get the kick off as Francis is going to field it. No, he's going to let it go.
That is a much better punt from Rivera. It was a punt that didn't go as far, but the fact that it had the chance to bunt, to bounce, Francis didn't want to take the risk of potentially fumbling it, and it allowed Eastie to not only kill some clock, but it slowed it down, and there's no return there. So now O'Brien's going to have to drive 45 yards as opposed to what probably would have been 20 to 30 yards if that first punt had counted. This is huge for O'Brien. No timeouts. You have to be very smart here, communicate, make sure that guys are getting back to the line if you do complete a pass inbounds.
You've certainly seen Maffeo complete a couple of passes, got the arm strength, and he certainly got the weapons. We'll see if he gets the protection. On first down, 57 seconds left to go before halftime. Maffeo over the middle. He's got Francis. Anthony Francis, he can score from anywhere on the field. As we mentioned, he's brought down at the 23. Huge pickup there of 24 yards on first down.
And that was Anthony Francis breaking the tackle of, I believe, Angelo Blake, who's right there, unable to make the tackle. And that's a huge gain of 20 yards, and the clock stops as they have to reset the ball.
I was wondering when they were going to get it to Francis at some point. Now on first down from the 23, it's Maffeo again going to the air. This time he's got pressure, he's got to throw it away. But that's the smart play there from the sophomore quarterback.
Throw it away, save some clock, and save your team. That was a great pass rush from Dom Delvecchio. He's not only the top lineman on the offensive side, he's also a big D tackle, and he almost got there in time.
Almost the second sack of the game for Delvecchio. But the Tigers now with a second down and 10 from the 23-yard line. 40 seconds left to go before the half.
And with 40 seconds left to go before the half, you can throw the ball inbounds. You can throw the ball short of the sticks because you do have enough time to get up there and get another play off.
Another botched snap there. Maffeo gets tackled in the backfield. This has been a nightmare for both teams, really. But the Tigers offensively, the snap's either too high or Maffeo's had a tough time handling it. That one to the side.
Well, we had O'Brien out of timeouts, but the referees apparently had one more left, which is big because otherwise you were going to see a big chunk of yardage count off. But now we've got I think it's just a 30-second timeout on O'Brien. The snaps today on both sides have been a huge issue, and you wouldn't expect that without rain, without a really cold day, but especially on the O'Brien side, just Maffeo is getting some balls over his head. That one was a little bit below his waist. He just isn't getting a consistent snap back into the shotgun formation.
That time they hand it off to Izabazua, and he cannot get through the trash there as the Jets are able to make the tackle.
It's a really conservative play call there on third, and now does John Parziali want to use one of his timeout because it's 4th and 23. O'Brien might just count down the seconds and then try a Hail Mary here. If they even, it looks like they will get off one final play.
It looks like the Tigers aren't going to try for a play to end the half here, or if they know how much time is left on the clock. And that's going to do it for the first half here at Sartori Stadium in East Boston. Both these teams knotted up at 6, scoring in different ways and also turning the ball over a few different ways as well. That's really been what the consistent part of this first half has been. Neither team able to really put together a good drive because each time they get a little bit of momentum, it just seems like they either fumble the ball or they have a penalty or they have a lot of self-inflicted wounds here in the first half.
We saw back-to-back scoring drives, and we thought we might be in for a bit of a barn burner. And then the second quarter, both teams had the ball inside enemy territory to start a lot of their drives, and yet the penalties, but especially the fumbles, the botched snaps, the special teams mistakes. This has been a sloppy game. A big focus at halftime is going to have to be being more consistent and taking care of the football, because if either team had done that in the first half, they'd probably have a 2-3 score lead.
No question. And we saw both quarterbacks can throw the ball. They've completed passes. They have the receivers to do it. Neither team has really gotten going in the running game, and the Jets have always been a running team. Haven't really broken a big one. Milton had a nice couple of runs for the Tigers, but that's really just it for O'Brien running the ball either. So you wonder if these teams are going to maybe try to get the running game going in the second half.
Well, the defensive lines have been the issue in the running game. They're getting tremendous penetration that starts, especially on the Eastie side. That offensive line has to be better. That's always been their bread and butter. And yes, it's a new group, but they've got the size. Run down the left side, give Del Vecchio a chance, and maybe you'll get a little bit more success in the second half as the O'Brien players get a little bit tired after being worn down by that bigger line. But it's been great penetration, and realistically, we've seen a couple of the bigger run plays get called back due to penalties. That's been a little bit of an issue. The quarterbacks haven't connected on a lot of passes, but they've had a couple of good throws. I'd like to see them get some more chances in the second half, have the coaches maybe throw a little bit more on first down or even second down and 6 or 7 to keep the focus of the defense so they can't stack the box as much.
No question. Look, you look at the East Boston Jets, their biggest worry has got to be from the first half of those high snaps on the punts there, and especially in the second quarter.
Yeah, I mean, East Boston's having those issues on the long snaps on punts, but on the other side you have O'Brien who's having the issues just getting the ball back to Maffeo and your shotgun formation. Those are fixable plays, but I'm not sure if you can fix them here in the second half unless it's just a confidence issue. You can work on confidence. You can't work on technique that much at halftime.
Well, we'll see what kind of adjustments they can make at halftime here at Sartori Stadium in Eastie. Folks, we're going to head to break. When we come back, we will have the halftime stats and a couple of highlights from that first half as we get set for the third quarter here on Game of the Week. Make sure you stick around.
Foster safety.
I got you.
Foster hope.
Okay, no problem.
Foster joy.
Am I soloed? Sounds like I'm on program.
Foster curiosity.
Okay.
Foster support. Become a foster parent, because every parent makes a difference. Foster,
Okay.
Massachusetts. Hey, look, it's those guys. Are you good to drive?
I'm fine.
How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be.
Go and step out of the vehicle for me.
See ya, buddy. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
First time I
No, I'm
tried
good. Thank you,
Vicodin,
though.
it was laying around my mom's house. And I kept taking them whenever I could get them. I didn't know they'd be this addictive. I didn't know how far I'd go to get more.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth.
Days.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
Do you want to retire like a champ? Just like legendary basketball star Uncle Drew?
Don't do it like that, Uncle Drew!
You're already acing the game. You've got your dream ride.
Don't be slamming my door.
Sorry about that.
You just did the same.
Gotta get the boys. Your dream vacation and your dream team. And now you can make your retirement just as legendary.
I get buckets.
Get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Awkward. I'm the awkward silence. You try to avoid me, then there I am again.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
Like Kelly here is about to demonstrate.
You haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
Queen is just my everything.
His smile did it. His smile, his eyes, his knowledge. My landlord, he decided that he wanted me to move based on the fact that I was transgender.
I can do one or two. I got to be up early tomorrow, but I can do one or two.
Let's just respect people in everyday life for just being human.
That works.
No doubt you're going places, young lady.
Thank you.
Thank you, though.
And thank you for the interview as well. I can imagine it was the last thing that you wanted to do after such a long campaign meeting.
You really are a very intelligent young woman.
For OB, right?
You're very smooth.
You're very smooth yourself.
You have no idea.
Oh, happy days.
Why is my son having trouble in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with my son over his homework.
Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review?
No. He's smart, but his mind wanders.
7 wonders of the world.
Why don't you understand me?
I do. I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
Number 2. Thank you.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
It appears these hot ashes are about to be dumped, which could possibly start a wildfire. How will Smokey deal with such a hot situation? The garden hose defense. Next, a thorough stir. Then another spray. And finally, feeling if the ashes are cool.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, yes, the selfie. A ritual practiced so frequently with this tribe, but not so much by Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Marie, you have prediabetes.
Prediabetes? I don't have time to eat right or exercise. I'm a busy mom.
Oh, you're a busy mom.
Yeah.
This is great news. Busy moms never get prediabetes.
Wait, what?
Let me just... Yeah, this is all the people at risk for prediabetes, and way over here, busy moms. No?
Planning the right amount of food is hard. The Guestimator makes it easy. Just tell it who's coming and what's for dinner. Then it tells you how much to make. And yes, it even plans for leftovers. Try it at SaveTheFood.com.
Welcome back to Sartori Stadium in East Boston. At halftime here on Game of the Week, the Jets and the Tigers are tied up at 6. And we take a look at the halftime stats now here from East Boston. And first up, it's going to be the O'Brien Tigers.
Well, you see Milton. He's been the guy that they really relied on. 8 carries for 37 yards. Could be a lot more if not for a couple plays that were called back to penalties. Izabazua has 12 yards on 4 carries. He's looked good. Jaden Smith had the big touchdown catch, a 40-yard 46-yard score. Luke Maffeo, just 3 completions, but for 73 total yards. Found Francis on that big gain late in the second quarter where Francis got a lot of yards after the catch.
Let's take a look at the East Boston halftime stats.
Well, they really relied a lot on Christian Fuedo, especially early. 5 rushes for 20 yards. Martinez has 3 rushes for 11 yards. They've used so many different players that no player has more than 20, but they've racked up a decent amount of rushing yards. Rivera has been the one guy they've looked for offensively. He has 2 of the 3 catches for 32 yards, and then Fuedo had the 5-yard catch. Dom Russo, 3 for 8, 37 yards. He's been pretty limited in the options he's been given. They're looking to try to keep him throwing the short balls, but he's shown that he has the ability, especially throwing the deep ball to the near side where he's nearly hooked up on with a receiver a couple different times.
Yeah, one player who had a very successful first half, even though both teams were turning the ball over a lot, was Luke Maffeo. They see the nice ball to Smith for the touchdown.
Well, that's just a perfect catch, giving Smith enough room to go forward. Here's the time where he took off on 3rd down, a nice 8-yard gain to make it 4th and manageable. They weren't able to convert. He's done a nice job, though, finding Waylon Francis there. He's constantly under pressure. And yes, they've had some turnovers. He did have the one bad throw, but he's making the right decisions. He's stepping up. He's taking some shots at the end of these plays, but he's giving his team a chance offensively. Just hasn't had enough consistency around him. A couple fumbles from his running back, some bad snaps from his center. It feels like this game should be closer to the 20s than it's 6-6. Both of these teams have had their opportunities. They just have been making some pivotal mistakes at the wrong times.
Yeah, we'll see if those mistakes can get cleaned up here in the second half. I'm sure both coaches had some things to say to their teams. And right now, somebody who has a thing to say is our sideline reporter, Noah Riley. He's got an update for us. Noah, what do you have?
Thanks, guys. I got a chance to speak with Coach Kevin Gatson of O'Brien High School at halftime. He was not too happy with his team's performance, hoping to not only get his weapons going like Anthony Francis and Tim Lambright, but, actually score some points. Meanwhile, on the East Boston side of the ball, Angelo Blake, though he hasn't been involved in the running game, was able to get in on 4 tackles and really pace this tough and stingy East Boston defense. Hopefully, we'll get some more offense in the second half and see some points put on the board. Thanks, guys, and back to you.
Thanks very much, Noah. And I'm sure Coach Gatson saw a lot of opportunities offensively in the first half, but they just weren't able to capitalize.
Well, the one thing that Noah pointed out that I don't think we've talked enough about has been the tremendous defense from both sides. I mean, a 6-6 game, yes, you're going to talk about missed opportunities offensively, but these defenses have bent a little bit, but for the most part, they haven't broken, and they've done a nice job. That's a bad mistake there from O'Brien, kicking the ball out of bounds on the kickoff. We'll see if they make him re-kick it or if East Boston will get the ball just short of the 50.
That's pretty good field position there for the Jets.
Not that good field position has necessarily led to points in this game, though.
It's one of those decisions where you can either take it where it is, if it's great field position, or you make the Tigers re-kick it.
On the kicking team, 5-yard penalty. First down.
So they're going to take it where it is and then the 5-yard penalty to tack on. So they're going to get the ball at midfield to start the third quarter. We'll see if this jump starts the Jets offense.
Yeah, I think that John Parziale is going to probably turn to his offensive line at halftime and said, you guys need to be better. You guys need to lead us to this victory because they do have this size advantage. And I think that you're going to see a heavy dose of runs here, especially on 1st and 2nd down to start the second half.
On 1st down, the handoff up the middle, this time to Fuedo. I believe it's actually pronounced Fuedo. So Fuedo with the carry.
Well, Fuedo does a nice job, sees the gap, runs right through it, not contacted until he's 8-9 yards down the field. And Fuedo's done that a couple times. He's one of the more patient runners where he's not immediately attacking. He's taking the time to let the blocks develop in front of him, and that's a nice job coming on the right side where you have the big right tackle, Andrew Allen.
They go to the right side again, this time with the big fullback, Nate Matera, who's dropped at the 36. So a 1st down for the Jets. This is a little bit more of the Jets offense that we're sort of used to, picking up 7, 8, 9 yards and come back with a 4-yard carry for a 1st down.
Well, that's the thunder and lightning combination you want. Fuedo picks up 8 yards on 1st down. Matera, the short yardage back, easily able to punch it through for the 1st down. East Boston hasn't really had a great drive since their touchdown drive when they were able to complete on a big 4th down pass to the 2-yard line. Can they get points here to start the second half?
On 1st down, Russo looking for Martinez, but a little too far in front of him. Also good coverage there from Anthony Francis.
the coverage from this secondary for O'Brien has been phenomenal throughout this game. There haven't been a lot of open wide receivers, and realistically, that's more likely to be picked than actually caught by the wide receiver. I do like the option. Yes, you're seeing a few more players push up into the box from O'Brien. You need to at least make O'Brien think that you're going to pass the ball. It's just tough when you get that one-on-one coverage, and really the corner there was right on the hip of the wide receiver in a better position to catch that ball.
So after the incomplete pass, 2nd down and 10. This time the handoff to Fadu again. And Christian Fadu up to the 32 for the East Boston Jets. So a gain of about, we'll call it, up to the 31. So a 5-yard pickup there on 2nd down. 3rd down and 5 now for the Tigers.
This is where O'Brien's defense was so good in the first half. 3rd down and anywhere between 3 and 5. They did a nice job of limiting to O'Brien to either a yard or 2 or even a loss. See if East Boston can be a little bit more successful, because, again, I think this is 4th down. I think this is 4-down territory at the 31 early in the half.
They run a sort of a scissor play with Fadu, who makes a nice cut up to the 22-yard line. 1st down, East Boston.
Nice misdirection. Caught O'Brien a little bit as they push numbers to the right. And on the cutback, a ton of room for doing. And then a nice strong finish to this play. He goes right into the defender. Christian Fadu has been the feature back in this game.
5.3 yards a clip now for Christian Fadu. Did take a little shot there from Brooks at the end of the play, but seems to be the bell cow now, as now he's lined up on the wing for the Jets. We got some early movement. I think that's going to be on the Tigers, so give the Jets another 5 yards.
Well, O'Brien
on the defense, 5-yard penalty, replay, 1st down.
O'Brien timed it once perfectly. I think it was Amir Johnson in that first half, but I mean, you can't come up on the center like that and make contact. It's a 5-yard penalty every time. This is what East Boston wants. Now you're at 1st and 5. You can run the ball 4 consecutive times, and all you need to do is pick up 1.3 yards per carry, and you get that 1st down. Those are pretty good odds for this East Boston team.
Jets have gone to the ground for most of this drive, besides that one incomplete pass. Now with it at the 16-yard line, 1st and 5 for Eastie. The handoff to Martinez, who then cuts it back up the middle to the 11.
And they're going to give Martinez the 1st down. So East Boston with a couple of 1st downs to start this drive. Now the question is, can they punch it in? O'Brien actually in a good spot for their defense, because they are better when it's 2nd and short. In the goal line, it helps them because they know that they're backed up a little bit more. This is where they've been at their best.
Now on 1st down, they hand it off to Matera, and Nate plows forward for about 3.
It's really the first time that O'Brien's been able to keep East Boston to a short gain. Over their first 5 carries, 29 yards. That's just under 6 yards a clip, which is a really good average.
Going to give them 2 on that play, so it'll be 2nd down and 8 now for the Jets. Fadu now back in for East Boston.
And I wonder if we could see a snap or a carry from Angelo Blake right here. He was such a great player for them a season ago. He's been limited this year by injury. Hasn't seen many snaps on offense, but this could be a chance for him to make a big play.
And the left guard for the Jets started a little earlier than everybody else. That's going to back it up. 5 for Eastie.
Replay down.
Well, when you're starting pretty much a brand new line, that's going to happen, and it's pretty costly because you had 2nd and 8, and that's just really, really obvious.
That was a left tackle.
Yeah, that's Del Vecchio, a guy that they rely upon as one of their leaders because he did see some snaps a season ago, and when a big body like that moves, it's a little bit easier, especially when you're on the outside of the line.
So 2nd down and 13 now for East Boston from the Tigers' 14. Russo to the right. He's got Rivera, short pickup there on 2nd down, gain of about 4.
And Russo looks a little bit like a Matt Stafford, Phillip Rivers quarterback, where he has a different couple of arm angles. That time almost a little bit submarine, but able to get it out quickly and picks up a couple of yards there to make this a more manageable third down than potentially fourth down. And he released that ball well short of his shoulder.
Yeah, a lot of quarterbacks try to be able to throw the ball from different arm angles just because you don't know what kind of defender is going to be in front of you when you're trying to release the football. And now the O'Brien Tigers call a timeout.
And this has been O'Brien's MO. The first series of the game, they used 2 timeouts after they fumbled the kickoff. They were able to get a stop right about this point of the field because they used those defensive timeouts.
Folks, you want to follow us on social media, you can follow us on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/GameOfTheWeekBoston. A lot of good stuff up on our Facebook page. You can also follow us on Twitter at Boston City TV. If you want to tweet at us, use the hashtag BostonGOW. East Boston Jets, O'Brien Tigers still knotted up at 6. Here was 7:15 left to go in the third quarter. Jets with the ball at the O'Brien 9-yard line facing a 3rd and long. We'll see if the Jets can sustain this drive. It's clearly 4-down territory for them.
And I think either way, John Parziali's probably going with the running play here because you need 7. If you pick up only 3 or 4, fourth down's manageable. You can run or pass. If you don't get anything, well, you're probably going to throw anyways. So just trying to, and there's always the potential that you break off all of the yards and punch it into the end zone with their big play capability on the ground. So I think you play it safe here knowing that you have another down in your pocket. The big thing is they need to avoid penalties. We've seen a couple of false starts that have really pushed both of these teams back in key spots.
Now on 3rd down for the Jets. Russo over the middle. Nice catch by Martinez. Touchdown, East Boston.
So I say run and you throw because that makes sense. Sometimes I'm thinking like what the defense is thinking, and that's a great play. There's that many guys in the box. Immediately comes from under center. 2 steps, just spits it out there. It wasn't a great throw, but a wide open Martinez for the 9-yard score, and that's a great play call by John Parziali, who clearly has a little bit more experience and know-how than myself.
I think he heard you and said, watch this, Seth. And
hey, I give him all the credit.
The complete opposite of what you want to do. There you see Coach Parziali. 10-play, 50-yard drive for the Jets. Now they get another penalty.
False start, 5-yard penalty on the offense. Replay it down.
A drive of almost 4 minutes, and give a ton of credit there to Russo. He had 3 completed passes in the first half. He had 2 of them on that drive, 2 of them inside the red zone. That touchdown pass, I mean, he had 4 touchdowns last week, picks up his first this week, and he's almost had 2, because remember, that big 4th down gain got him down to the 2, and then they decided to punch it in with the running back.
Russo rolling to his right. He might be able to take it in himself. Dom Russo trying to spin out of a tackle, and he's brought down well short of the goal line, so no 2-point conversion for the Jets, but they do tack on another touchdown. They take the lead here with 7 minutes, 11 seconds left to go in the third quarter, and that was a nice classic East Boston drive right there.
I love this play from Jaden Smith. He stood his ground. He's a little bit smaller, but he recognizes that he needs to slow him down, get some help there from the second player. Jaden Smith has the touchdown catch, but he's had a couple of huge defensive plays. So that's a huge play because with neither of these teams seeming confident, but also confident in their kickers, it gives O'Brien a chance if they can score 1 touchdown and get a 2-point conversion. It's a good thought from Russo. He had space, but a nice job of just standing his ground and getting some help as he stood him up at about the yard and a half mark. And that could come up big. I mean, last week, remember, it was East Boston beating Brighton by a 2-point conversion. For these teams that don't have place kickers, they have 5-6 plays that they're very confident on 2-point conversions, and O'Brien's 2 for 2 in stopping those 2-point conversions.
Got a nice return here from Smith, who's then shoved out of bounds at the 48.
We came in talking about Lambright and Francis, who've each had a couple big plays, but the biggest playmaker today has been Jaden Smith. Caught the touchdown, made some big plays defensively. Nice 10, 12-yard gain there. I mean, this O'Brien team, year in and year out, a lot of versatile players. They're not all that big, but they're fast, they're speedy, and when they have the ball in their hands, defensive coordinators are not happy.
Yeah, they mark them down at the 49, so great field position to start this possession for the Tigers, their first of the third quarter. See what Luke Maffeo can go back to work through the air. Izabazua, the lone back in the backfield. They're going to hand it off to him on first down. After the stutter step, has a little bit of space over the right side, picks up 2 on the play.
And that was a really good snap from Yoshitsune Howe. He's been the punter. He's also the setter. And Howe has had a couple of snaps that have really provided some trouble for Maffeo. That's something to watch for on this drive for O'Brien. If they can sustain it, can Howe find Maffeo in a comfortable position where Maffeo is not worried about the snap and can actually look downfield and see who's open?
Izabazua gets it this time on second down, and that time with a nice cut. Izabazua in the open field, inside the 30, down to about the 21.
Izabazua has been really, really good. We've seen Milton break off a couple of times, but Izabazua is getting more and more involved in this game. This is a great cutback right, well, not quite here, but he cuts back inside and able to pick up a ton of yards there, and this is what O'Brien needed. You needed a response, especially after they failed in so many drives in the second quarter where they were in plus territory. It looked like they had a chance to take the lead. You don't want to find yourselves down by multiple scores, so they need to punch it in here, keep the pressure on East Boston.
Mark them down at the 20, so now it's 1st and 10, and Milton gets the carry, picks up 2 on first down.
Just wondering, Kevin Gatson told our sideline reporter at halftime, we're going to try to get Francis the ball more. We're going to try to get Lambright the ball more. Well, they haven't put either of those guys in the backfield. They're 2 of their more trusted wide receivers. When are we going to see that wide receiver screen? When are we going to look for a short slant to try to get those guys into the end zone? This would be a good spot for it inside the red zone, but still far enough back where the cornerbacks have to respect the speed of those players and back off 5-10 yards.
Yeah, I don't think Lambright's even caught a ball yet this evening. They hand off to Izabazua again, and he breaks free a little bit. Still on his feet as he makes his way inside the 15-yard line down to the 12.
Looked like he was going to be tackled for loss. 3 blue shirts in the backfield, but then cuts back, knocks down his own player. Stiff arm there, keeps going. And that is a very hard-earned 3 or 4 yards. Lambright had 1 rush in the first half, but I don't remember anything outside of that. He's made quite a few plays on the defensive side. 2 of the best players in this game in terms of offensive players, Angelo Blake for East Boston and Tim Lambright for O'Brien, really haven't had many touches at all.
On 3rd down and 3, the handoff to Izabazua again. This time he's wrapped up at the line of scrimmage.
Well, it's 4 down territory, but that's a pretty conservative call in my opinion. Again, it looked like Maffeo bobbled the snap a little bit, although it was right in his chest. And Izabazua, East Boston's they're targeting him. They recognize that when he's in the game, he's going to get the ball. And now let's see what Eastie does, or O'Brien does here. 4th and 4. Do you trust your line to pick up those yards on the ground, or are you going to give Maffeo his first chance here in the second half to throw the ball?
Cefantes with the tackle there on that last play. He now has 6 tackles for the Jets. 4th and we'll call it a long 3 for the Tigers. And it's going to be Maffeo taking it himself inside the 10. And I think he's right on the first down marker. He got past it.
Yeah, just past it. And it's strange. We've only seen Maffeo run the ball twice, but that's a big first down. And the threat of the option pitch there was a big difference because East Boston had to respect Izabazua in the backfield to give Maffeo just enough time to round the corner, and then Maffeo diving forward. That's probably the difference between a first down and a first down going the other way.
Tigers now with a 1st and goal from the 8-yard line. Maffeo going to hand off inside. and that is Izabazua again fighting for yardage up to the 5-yard line.
Izabazua just doesn't stop. Those feet keep churning. It looked like he got hit hard and was going to go down, and then you just keep seeing him plugging away and maybe picks up an extra yard there. Izabazua has been really, really good on this. I mean, 2 guys are there, 3 guys are there, and he manages to fall forward and pick up an extra yard. That is really big, especially when you're here inside the red zone, inside the 10. Every single yard matters.
2nd and goal now from the 6 as Izabazua now with 41 rushing yards on this drive alone. He's been the main ball carrier for the Tigers, gotten them down here to the 6-yard line. So 1st and goal now from the 6 for O'Brien. Got Lambright in the slot at the bottom of your screen, Francis in the slot at the top.
And Jaden Smith all the way out wide.
They give it to Izabazua again, but he is stopped right in his tracks, lost yardage on the play. Angelo Blake in there for the stop.
Yeah, and Blake has made his name today on defense after missing a couple games. He certainly looks very good here. Got a little bit of help from the fullback. That's Matera. But how many times can O'Brien go back to the well with Izabazua before they do try a pass? This would be a pretty good spot for it. 3rd and goal from the 5. Maybe try to find Francis. He's so good in the red zone because he has that great leaping ability. Can you get him one-on-one with the defender and give Maffeo a chance? Lambright on the near side, one-on-one coverage.
3rd and goal now from the 8 for the Tigers. Javon Milton, the deep back, Izabazua, the offset back. They pitch it to Milton, and Milton gets stretched to the outside. Now cuts it back up the middle. And Milton brought down at the 4. So it'll be 4th and goal from the 4 now for O'Brien.
Johan Cervantes made that play. He pressures Blake back. And even though he doesn't make the tackle, it's enough for the rest of the East Boston players to rush towards the ball. Cervantes has been really good. You're going to see a timeout. This is a huge play in this game right now. We're 2 drives into this second half, and there's only 1:17 left in the quarter. That just shows you that if O'Brien is not capable of putting the ball in and East Boston can sustain a drive, O'Brien might get the ball back with 5 or 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, down 2 scores, and then you're really up against the wall. This is such a big play, and in my opinion, you have to throw it here. East Boston has done a better job. They're really keying on the run. Maybe you can take advantage of that. Give one of your playmakers a chance. Give Maffeo a chance. And again, I'm going to say this. Maybe Kevin Gatson doesn't believe his backs are good blockers, or maybe he wants that extra option out of the backfield. But I'd love to see him keep the running back in there to provide another blocker so that Maffeo has that extra half a second to pick up an extra block and find one of his wide receivers open if he's not just throwing a lob into the end zone.
Yeah, we'll see what they do coming up here on 4th down. Folks, next week we're going to be out in Brighton for a game between 2 Boston North rivals again. The East Boston Jets just beat the Brighton Bengals last week. Bengals will be hosting Latin Academy, a rematch of last year's playoff game in the first round. It'll be Friday night, October 5th at 6:30 p.m. over at Daly Field in Brighton. You can watch that live on Boston City TV, Comcast 24, RCN Channel 13, and Verizon Channel 1962. I think it's a good point, Seth. If you got Anthony Francis, you don't get a lot of big defensive backs on the East Boston side. You got the big receiver. He's about 6'2". He's got good size. And he's at the bottom of your screen. You can't see him right now. He could be the guy that you throw it up to. Lambright's in motion. Bad snap to the side, and it's recovered by East Boston. Doesn't really matter who recovers it on 4th down. It's a turnover on downs.
That is just... It's heartbreaking there if you're O'Brien, because you don't even give yourself a chance. You never really gave yourself a chance to score because they kept running it knowing they had the pass option. And who else? It's Cervantes with the fumble recovery. For a guy who doesn't touch the ball on offense, we've called his name a ton, and he's maybe one of those outside. We very rarely see a lineman get named an MVP, but he's having an MVP caliber kind of a game. It's a huge fumble recovery. He has spent more time in the backfield for O'Brien than he spent fighting against offensive linemen.
Now on first down, it's Martinez who gets popped at the line of scrimmage.
And this is a huge drive for O'Brien defensively. If you can get a stop, we've seen East Boston really struggle with their punts. They've had one decent punt, but they've had another one blocked and another one where the snap forced Rivera to hold on to it. If you can get a stop here, you get the ball back with great field possession. For East Boston, it's not about getting a score on this drive. It's about killing some clock and getting 2-3 first downs where you're not going to give O'Brien great field possession on their next drive.
Michael Brooks in on the stop there for the Tigers. Just a 1-yard pickup there on first down. 2nd down and 9. And do we have a timeout called by the Jets?
That's what it looks
like. I
like.
believe we do.
30-second timeout.
So the Jets take a 30-second timeout here with 30 seconds, left to go in the third quarter.
It's been a fast 10 minutes and 30 seconds to start this second half. That second quarter seemed to drag on because it was fumble,
Penalty.
bad punt, penalty. You had all those stops here in the third quarter. It was 2 sustained drives, first down after first down, good execution on third down. It was better football, and that's what we hope to see because, honestly, Pat, a lot of times in that first half, I thought we were looking at 2 good football teams who were shooting themselves in the foot. They just weren't being consistent enough. Now we're seeing a little bit more of the quality of these teams here in the second half.
Jets now faced with a 2nd down and 9 as Russo thought about going to the air. Now going to tuck it in and run, and he might have picked up a yard or 2 on 2nd down, just about a yard.
Russo got lucky. He steps up in the pocket, doesn't recognize the lineman coming in behind. That ball is loose out in the right hand. He's not really keeping it close to the body, and he's fortunate to hang on. So now it's 3rd and long, and that should be the start of the fourth quarter. But that is a huge play because you're obviously not going for it on 4th down deep in your own end, already leading by a touchdown. So see what East Boston elects to do. Does John Parziale go to the air trying to pick up the first down? Does he stay a bit conservative? Or maybe it's a little bit of both. Maybe it's a short pass, just trying to be safe and hoping that his player can break a tackle. But already we see East Boston working on that long snap on a potential punt as they try to avoid any more special teams issues.
Folks, we'll be right back with the fourth quarter. Big 3rd down play coming up right after this.
We just finished dinner and it was time for homework. He hates homework.
It makes no sense.
I don't know how he finds anything in his backpack.
I can't find my backpack.
I couldn't even read his handwriting.
Holding the pencil makes my hand hurt.
I know he's bright.
Why is it so hard for me?
He's
I'm
just
trying
gotta
as
try a
hard
little
as
harder.
I can.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. Go to understood.org, a free online resource with support and tools to help your child thrive.
Well, welcome back to Sartori Stadium in East Boston for the fourth quarter of Game of the Week. The East Boston Jets currently lead the O'Brien Tigers 12-6. Our sideline reporter Noah O'Reilly's got an update for us. Noah, what's happening?
Thanks, guys. One player I wanted to spotlight really quickly was Jaden Smith, a wide receiver and a dime back from O'Brien High School. He's not only scored a touchdown today, but he's also done all the little things. He broke a big block to get a big run last drive for O'Brien that ultimately didn't result in a score, but he's also been making plays on defense, breaking up 3 plays and also stuffing the 2-point conversion last quarter by East Boston. Hopefully he can pull them back into the game. Thanks, guys, and back to you.
Thanks very much, Noah. As we were talking about Smith before, massive penalty there for East Boston. They have some early motion. That's going to back them up 5, and that's going to now be a 3rd and 13 for the Jets. Much different than 3rd and 8.
Well, and East Boston's been good here in the second half, minimizing a lot of mistakes, but that's the 2nd or 3rd false start for this team. It happened on the 2-point conversion, and that's a terrible mistake because now if you're going to pass the ball, you've got to go 13 yards, or if you're going to run the ball in this situation, then you're even more likely to fall short of the sticks. And already they're bringing over the long snapper in preparation for a punt. So my guess is that they're going to be a little bit more conservative on this play call. They have the lead. They're just going to make sure they don't turn it over here and give O'Brien phenomenal field position.
3rd and 13 now for the Jets. They try the double reverse here with Restrepo, and he's got a seam. Restrepo is then brought down at the 18-yard line. So nice little play there from the Jets, but it's going to be 4th down.
Yeah, but who had the tackle? Who else? It's Jaden Smith, 3 versus 3. I love the double reverse. It's a really nice call. We haven't seen any trickeration for the most part, but Smith, again, in the right position and just holds on, gets some help from the defender. Big time stop. And again, it's going to be Lambright and Francis back on this punt. Those are the 2 most dangerous players with the ball.
Rivera with the punt off the side of his foot, and that's going to roll out of bounds right around the 41, 42-yard line. Coach Parziale is upset because I think the Tigers had an extra man on the field.
They had 2 extra men. They had, coming off the field was Yoshitsune Howe, but also it looked like Izabuza was also trying to come off the field. He had his back turned to the field when that ball was kicked off, and somehow that flag isn't thrown. It actually works out for East Boston because it's a really good punt from Rivera, and now O'Brien starts with the ball at about the 50, which is as good as you could have hoped for after a 3-and-out for Eastie that started inside their own 10.
So Tigers now with great field position at the East Boston 40 here at the early part of the 4th quarter. They hand off to Izabazua, and he has dropped 3 tacklers from the Jets in the backfield. You got Cefantes, also Angelo Blake, and Del Vecchio there for the stop.
Well, it's getting a little predictable. Anytime Izabazua is in the game, he's getting the ball, especially when he's lined up as a tailback. O'Brien's got to open up the playbook a little bit right now. Trust in Maffeo. Maffeo's had some really good throws in this one, and yet he hasn't been given that many chances to throw the ball. Backed up at 2nd and 15. We'll see if they're forced to throw.
And off to Izabazua again here on 2nd down, and this time he makes his way up to back to the 40-yard line, original line of scrimmage.
Well, Izabazua did a great job of not losing yards on that particular one as he got hit in the backfield, just keeps on chugging through 2 players and falls forward. He's done that a lot today. But again, it's an interesting play call because you go from 2nd and 13, 2nd and 14 to 3rd and 10. I think O'Brien's been a little bit more conservative than at least I expected coming into this game. They've run the ball a ton on these last 2 drives, which is good because they had success on that last drive. But 2nd and 13 isn't exactly a running down for most teams.
Tigers got a new quarterback in there. That's Juan Restrepo. Going over the middle, the senior gets the ball to Timmy Lambright down to the 22-yard line. Didn't notice Restrepo on the play before, but the big senior gets in there, delivers the mail to Lambright.
Well, that's a huge reason why they might be running the ball as frequently. That's a really good throw. Just coming out on the field, don't know how many times he's had a chance to throw the ball. It's a high throw, but Lambright went up and got it, and that's big because Lambright has been hurting for touches here. Kevin Gatson said he wanted to get Lambright a little bit more touches in the second half, and that's a big 1st down because now, just outside the 20-yard line, you can run the ball on 1st down.
And Izabazua does get the carry here on 1st down inside the 20 down to the 18-yard line.
Izabazua has the wonderful knack of falling forward every single time. Some running backs just have it. Again, he's hit early, and look at that. Slides an extra 2 to 3 yards. A bigger player is holding on to him, and he just says, I don't care. I'm just going to keep chugging those legs. It's been a really impressive performance because his yards per carry don't look all that good, but he easily could have 15 yards less in this game if not for that 2nd, 3rd effort as he just drags East Boston defenders backward.
Second down and 6 now for the Tigers. Restrepo still in there at quarterback. Now it's Milton with the carry. Jaden Milton steps out of bounds right near the marker. I think he might be just short of it, just outside the 10-yard line.
Yeah, it looks like he's about a yard, maybe even half a yard short. I like the fact they went back to Milton. You had Izabazua in the backfield, kind of like a fullback, and Milton, the speedier of the 2 backs. Looks like he was actually very close to that first down. He went over the sticks as he went out of bounds.
Yeah, he's got less than a yard here to go for the first down. Two backs in the backfield now for the Tigers. Izabazua and Javon Milton now have combined for 102 yards on the ground.
Wonder if they have the confidence to go with the QB sneak here.
They give it to Izabazua as he cuts to the outside. He's then dragged down at the 8, but that's good enough for a first down for the Tigers. First and goal now from the 8-yard line.
Well, they were in this exact same position late in quarter number 3, drove inside the 10 and weren't able to punch it in from the 3. You have to figure they're even more likely to run the ball now with the backup quarterback in. But can this line that's gaining a little bit more confidence, especially with Izabazua fighting so hard for the extra yard, punch it in right now? This could be the last great chance they get. Only 7:17 left in this game.
Restrepo again to Izabazua here on first down. Asaru inside the 5, right around the 5-yard line, and they'll mark him down.
I don't get it. Izabazua looks like he's going to be tackled in the backfield every time and able to break that arm tackle and then just dives forward. It looks like he should have been even a little bit further than the 5, although they smart it right on the 5-yard line. Osaru has been a workhorse and a warrior here in the second half. He's going to need a nice path after this one.
Second and goal now from the 5-yard line for the Tigers. Izabazua again with the carry. Almost brought down in the backfield. Touchdown, O'Brien. What a run from Asaru Izabazua.
How does Asaru keep doing it? He was hit in the backfield. There were multiple guys there. Everyone on the East Boston sideline is screaming 13, 13, 13. And yet somehow Asaru just gets through the arm tackle, gets through a second tackle, and then sees pay dirt. I can almost guarantee Asaru is going to get a chance to put this one in here and give his team their first lead of the game.
Massive 2-point conversion here. We're tied up at 12. We'll see if the Tigers can take the lead. Bobbled snap, Restrepo. He's just going to have to go down with it. And failed 2-point conversion there for O'Brien. And we've seen that before here tonight.
Yeah, we've seen 4 failed ones, and we've seen some really bad snap connections that have been at inopportune times, especially for O'Brien. Remember, 4th and goal on their last drive, it was a snap that the quarterback couldn't handle. That time, with a chance to take their first lead, they don't even get a chance to run the play. 12-12, 6:24 left. Well, first off, we'll see how O'Brien fares because they haven't had too many kickoffs, but they've been short both times. Can they actually keep East Boston starting at a not a great field position, because East Boston has started north of their 35, 40-yard line on every single drive.
You got to think the reason why Maffeo was out is because he wasn't able to handle a lot of those shotgun snaps, because you saw there the only time they had a problem with the shotgun snap with Restrepo in there was on a 2-point conversion when it was high, whereas before it seemed like Maffeo, a lot of them were even slightly to the side, but you still, as a quarterback, got to get those.
Yeah, Pat, I mean, Maffeo is over there talking to one of the assistant coaches, so maybe there's a small injury, but it doesn't look like he's in too bad a shape. Maybe they just wanted a different look.
Yoshi Howe boots it to the 15. It's fielded there by Restrepo. Sorry, that's Martinez, I believe, on the return. So Hector, nope, that's Casey Vasquez who brings it up to the 30-yard line, rather. So 15-yard return for Vasquez.
It's a great kick from Howe, and then a little bit of a gang tackle there, just short of the 30. East Boston has been better here in the second half. They had that nice long drive that killed a lot of clock to start the third quarter. Another big long drive here could not only kill off a lot of clock, it could really put this game away. This team is certainly capable of killing the next 5.5 minutes and marching down the field. The question for O'Brien is, how much penetration can that defensive line get? Because they've done it all night long, but again, this is where you tend to see defensive players get a little bit worn down, especially when there's this many run plays.
You got two players moving that time as.
Ready play. Fast start. 68 on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Replay. First down.
It's going to be really interesting who has the worst nightmares today. John Parciali about the false starts, or Kevin Gatson about the bad snaps. Both coaches are not going to be happy on those two key points.
Anwar Hallow, the one with the early motion there for the Jets.
And again, it's such a young line. It's a learning process. They're working together. This is a really close game. You're in front of your home fans, but that's such a pivotal mistake. And at this point, East Boston's probably had maybe a half dozen false starts in this game.
Yeah, the entire Jets offensive line, juniors or younger. Now on 1st and 15, it's Russo looking over the middle of the field, and Josh Rivera makes the catch at the 45.
That is a phenomenal throw. Russo was throwing to a spot, not directly to Rivera. Rivera cut across. He was not open when that ball was thrown. And again, a little bit of a weird throwing angle, but it works nonetheless. Puts it just over the hand of Lambright. He's broken up a couple plays, and unfortunately looks like Rivera might have been hurt on the tackle.
Looked like he probably rolled his ankle there. The ankle came down awkwardly. We'll take a look at the replay.
Yes, that
right
left
ankle. That thing rolled. That's sort of that classic ankle roll. I remember doing that playing basketball. It's going to hurt for a while, and then it's just going to blow up like a balloon. Yeah, Rivera with a big night so far. 4 catches, 57 yards for the Jets. He's been a pivotal player on 3rd down, 3rd and long. Clearly the Jets' best receiver, so
and he's the
tough loss for them here.
He's the go-to short receiver because he is such a big body. He's able to find space. If they need an option for a 3rd and 5 or a 4th and 3, he's the guy. And he is going to be helped off by his 2 teammates, but that's probably the last time we'll see Rivera. Also, one other thing to note, he's their punter. So that could be an issue if they are forced to punt, because already they've been struggling with the connection from long snapper to punter, and he's a big guy. He's one of the biggest players on their team, so maybe you have to put in someone who's not as comfortable punting or a shorter player. The ball could go over their head. So Eastie right now maybe going to even be more aggressive on 4th downs, knowing that Rivera probably won't be available. It's also his punting foot.
They actually got one of the Jets. You know, a lot of times when the backup quarterback has to go in, he starts warming up. You got one of the Jets warming up to be a punter. It's Hector Martinez on the carry for East Boston on 1st down. Good pickup past midfield.
Looks like it's going to be a true freshman connection if there is a punt. Elvis Escobar's been the long snapper all day long. Chris Frazier's the guy who's taking the long snaps on the sideline. I don't know if John Parziali really wants to go freshman to freshman in such a big conference game like this.
Well, if the Jets pick up another 1st down, they'll probably be in 4-down territory at that point. Nate Matera with the carry. Almost got the ball stripped, but he's brought down at the 45.
That's that nice, quick inside handoff, and Matera fought for a couple of extra yards. Looked like it was going to be 3rd and about 5, and then just keeps fighting through that tackle and falls forward. He and Izabazua do a great job of gaining that extra yard or 2 that some other guys just don't get.
3rd and short. The handoff to Matera. Big hole for him as he plows forward up to the 39-yard line. 1st down, East Boston.
Yeah, the only way that East Boston punts at this point is if they get backed up and it's 4th and 25, 4th and 30. The one interesting thing is both of these teams have a lot of timeouts left. Neither team has used many timeouts in this half, so we could see O'Brien taking timeouts to try to save some clock if East Boston goes down the field.
Hector Martinez busted loose into the end zone. Touchdown, Eastie.
Well, he was the big play back, and there's the big play from Hector Martinez. Breaks one tackle and takes off with tremendous speed. We were talking about a possible punt, but now we're going to see at least one more drive, maybe even 2 or 3 Martinez breaks the arm tackle, and then he is just off. Great form, and no one's even close until Lambright gets close to within the final 5 yards. That is a really nice job from Martinez and a huge touchdown.
Martinez with a 39-yard touchdown run for the Jets.
This is very big right now. Neither team is converted on two-point conversion. East Boston can put themselves in a great spot.
They give it to Matera, and he is able to plow in for the two-pointer. So the first two-point conversion of the night, and it belongs to the Jets. They now go up by 8 with 4:17 left to go in the fourth quarter. As you mentioned, still 3 timeouts for the Tigers, so plenty of time for them to put together a drive.
Yeah, I mean, there's 7 timeouts between these two teams, which you rarely see at this level with this little time left. It's going to be very interesting for East Boston. Not only are they trailing, but now all the pressure's on them, because if they do get that two-point conversion, it only ties the game. So Eastie's going to have to come up with a big play.
So as we get ready for the kickoff, it's Noah Riley with an update for us. Noah, what do you have?
That was senior tight end Josh Rivera, who got hurt on this previous drive. He made a great catch, landed, seemed to roll his ankle, and needed help off the field. He actually needed a lot of help putting weight on it. And as the medical staff taped him up, he said, quote, "I don't care, I'm going back in and we're winning this game." They just scored a touchdown, punched it in, seemed to have inspired his teammates, so let's see if they can go get a win. Thanks, guys, and back to you.
Thanks very much, Noah. Pretty gutsy right now for Josh Rivera to get back in there. We'll see if they actually need him, as right now O'Brien trying to put together a big play. It's Izabazua, who had a tough time fielding the kick. Now he brings it back to the 41.
And East Boston has stuck with these short kickoffs. It worked off on the first kickoff when they were able to force a fumble, but also they're not giving O'Brien a chance to get a nice kick return set up. They have those weapons, and yet as much as we talked about them, Tim Lambright's been limited to 2 touches. Anthony Francis only has 1 touch offensively. Probably wasn't what Kevin Gatson had scripted up, but just hasn't been able to find his targets. And with the backup quarterback Juan Restrepo in there, probably a little bit harder to have the confidence to throw the ball here with still 4:10 left in the game.
Now on first down, low snap for Restrepo. He's now going to try and run with it. And he has nowhere to go for the Tigers.
I like that decision by Restrepo. Immediately picks it up, recognizes I'm not going to try to force a throw here. Let's see if I can gain even a yard or two, get back to the line of scrimmage, and keep my team in it. Because if he had thrown an ill-advised pass there, been picked off, game could possibly be over. Now he gives his team a chance, but these poor snaps, this poor connection, it's got to be so frustrating for Kevin Gatson, because he has some of these great plays called up, and yet they haven't been able to consistently even get the play off.
Give it to Izabazua here on second down, and he breaks free. Izabazua down the sideline, and he's dropped at the 41. This kid just keeps on churning for the Tigers.
That should have been a 3-yard gain. It looked like he was completely held up, and he just spins out of it once, twice, and then he takes off for a first down. Izabazua has been a star here in the second half.
So Osaru Izabazua with a really nice run for O'Brien. And now I believe it's the East Boston Jets who want to call a timeout here with 3:05 left to go. Jets must have been confused defensively, because if I'm the Jets, there's no way I'm calling a timeout right now with the clock about to be wound up again.
Yeah, it is a strange decision. Angelo Blake was having a long conversation with John Parzielli. The other thing is, East Boston has 4 timeouts. So if you're not happy with something you see in your defense, if you think they're confused, better to call the timeout and stop the clock than to give O'Brien a chance for a big rush.
Josh Rivera back in there trying to play through that ankle sprain as a handoff to Izabazua on first down. Gets to about the 39-yard line, so just a 2-yard carry on first down for Osaru Izabazua.
Yeah, Osaru has been taking some heavy contact, and that's probably the first time in a while that Osaru actually went backwards rather than forwards after getting hit. 3 different guys colliding with him and making sure he wasn't able to steal an extra yard or 2.
You got Rivera trying to stretch out the ankle, try to keep him warm. Biggest thing with that ankle is once it really tightens up, that's the toughest part.
Oh, I'm also interested, if you're O'Brien, can you get a running back out against him in coverage? Because Rivera already, I mean, he's a big target. He's got some speed, but we've seen Milton, he has a ton more speed, and he'd have an even bigger advantage with the injury.
They run the reverse here to Lambright as he shakes the defender free. Timmy Lambright with another nice move. Lambright still on his feet up to the 32. So about a 9-yard pickup there on second down.
And guess who was responsible for that edge coverage? It's Rivera, and Rivera couldn't quite get there. A great diving play. I don't know if he gets there without an injured ankle, but O'Brien recognizing that he's back out there, recognizing that there's no way he's not in some pain, a little bit limited, and that was big because instead of being a 2 or 3 yard loss, Lambright able to make this 3rd and very manageable.
3rd and 1 now for the Tigers. And it's going to Osaru, who plows forward to the 29-yard line.
And that's big because it stops the clock with 96 seconds left. If that had been 4th and short, you're probably taking off another 15 or 20 seconds or being forced to call a timeout.
Izabazua actually ran into Yoshikawa, the center, on that play. Probably would have only gained another yard or so.
Well, that's if the guy had actually been able to make the tackle.
Very big if.
Yeah, Osaru has broken quite a few of them in this game. Thing is, with 3 timeouts left, O'Brien can continue to run the ball knowing they can get stoppages whenever they need them.
And the handoff this time over the left side, getting the carry that time for the Tigers for the first time is Curlin's Ginty. Picks up 4 on the play.
And with 3 timeouts left, O'Brien electing not to use a timeout. A little bit of John Parziale was unhappy with the clock management.
Trying to figure out the clock at the moment. Now they're trying to get the trainers, I believe, back on the other side.
For Izabazua.
Izabazua, yeah, he got banged up on that last run. We'll see if there's anybody else that needs to go over there. Our sideline reporter, Noah Riley, has.
Thanks, guys. A pretty interesting exchange just happened down here on the field. Angelo Blake, senior linebacker, just asked his coach of East Boston, to call timeout. Clearly, coach trusts him. They realigned defensively, and they made the play. Talk about trusting your players. Thanks, guys, and back to you.
Restrepo down the left side of the field, and the ball is broken up
by the wide receiver. Lambright made a tremendous play. That was probably going to be picked off if not for the smaller Lambright going up again, almost like a defender in basketball swatting it away, as that ball was just a little bit underthrown and Eastie was expecting the pass. That was in the hands of the cornerback.
We don't have a 33 on the roster, but whoever it is, good coverage there for him. 56 seconds left to go now in the 4th. 3rd down and 6 for the Tigers. Restrepo, this time it's to Ginty, and he juts forward to the 21.
Really interested to see if Maffeo is injured or if they just like Restrepo, because this is a situation where I'd probably rather have Maffeo in, because 4th and 5, you don't have Izabazua, who is still being attended to by the trainers. It's a must passing down, and thus far we've only seen Restrepo throw the ball twice here in the second half. Completed his first pass, well sure on that second pass, but how much confidence does he have as a backup quarterback? We have no idea how many snaps he's seen. This is probably the most pressure pass he'll have faced in his high school career, and they needed quite a few yards here on 4th down.
Looks to be a 4th and almost 3 here for the Tigers, as they just took their timeout there, so they'll have 2 left.
I don't know if you can run the ball here with Izabazua still sidelined.
Got Francis in the slot at the bottom of your screen. I believe it's Lambright in the slot at the top of your screen. The handoff, I believe, to Ginty there on 4th down, and he's got nowhere to go. So that's a turnover on downs. Huge stop there for the Jets defense. And you see Angelo Blake feeling good after that one.
And the game's not over because O'Brien still has those 3 timeouts. So if they can get a 3-and-out, but O'Brien just a little bit too conservative in my opinion there. Ginty hasn't shown the capability of always getting the extra yard, and East Boston stacking it. They've done a better job of getting penetration. I would have loved to have seen them, and we've seen them a couple times stick to the run at 1st and goal, 2nd goal, 3rd and goal. I would have loved to have seen them there in that situation. Throw the ball to one of the receivers and give them a chance to make a play.
So Jets kneel on it here with 30 seconds left to go. I thought the Tigers just called timeout.
Yeah, I think there should be a couple of seconds added.
That clock back.
Yeah, there were 32 seconds when the play ended, and now they're at 22.
It should be at least 30.
The problem is I think O'Brien is down to 1 timeout instead of 2, so unless there's a botched snap, this should kill out the clock. That's why I was surprised that East Boston was in the victory formation.
2nd down and 10 now for the Jets, and once again they kneel on it, and I think the Tigers will call one more time out. They have not yet. I think O'Brien might just...
I don't think they know how many timeouts they have, or...
Either way, the clock strikes 0 as the East Boston Jets hang on to win this one 20-12 over the O'Brien Tigers. And now the Jets with 2 wins in a row in the Boston North. You know, we talked before the game about how this game could change the fortunes of what either team has done so far over the last couple of weeks. You know, the Tigers came in trying to, rebound from a tough loss. The Jets with a big win over Brighton now have 2 big wins in the Boston North. This is starting to get their train rolling a little bit here and maybe give them a little bit of a winning streak that they could try to put together here midway through the season.
Well, Eastie started this season at 0-2, but in non-conference play, they were banged up. They didn't have Angelo Blake for all but that first quarter of the first game. They've gotten healthy, and they've gotten better. And this team, despite not having Blake as an offensive weapon today because maybe he's still a little banged up and they wanted to keep him out there on defense, they were able to do just enough. Hector Martinez, that huge carry. They used 5-6 different backs today, but it was enough. And realistically, Russo made a couple of big plays there in the second half, both with his legs and his arm. This was not the most completed performances, but to get a win in a game where you make a ton of mistakes, that's all you need to do. 2-0 in conference. I'm sure East Boston's going to be really happy about that. They'll focus on the mistakes in practice next week.
Yeah, pretty gritty win here for the Jets despite some mistakes by both teams. Folks, we're going to head to break. When we come back, we'll have our Game of the Week MVP, our final stats, and we'll be signing off here from Sartori Stadium in East Boston right after this. Don't go away.
Foster hope. Foster joy. Foster curiosity. Foster support. Become a foster parent, because every parent makes a difference. Foster, Massachusetts.
Hey, look, it's those guys. Are you good to drive?
I'm fine.
How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be?
Go and step out of the vehicle for me.
See ya, buddy. Good luck.
So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
First time I tried biking, and it was laying around my mom's house. And then I kept taking them whenever I could get them. I didn't know they'd be this addicted. I didn't know how far I'd go to get more.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
Am I solo, guys?
Do you want to retire like a champ? Just like legendary basketball star
guys?
Uncle Drew?
Don't do him like that, Uncle Drew!
You're already acing the game. You've got your dream ride.
Yep.
Don't be slamming my door.
Sorry about that. You just did the same.
Gotta get the boys. Your dream vacation and your dream team. And now you can make your retirement just as legendary.
I get buckets.
Get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
You got me?
Awkward.
I'm not going
On
over
the
program.
awkward silence. You try to
Sounds
avoid
like I am.
Then there I am again. But an awkward silence can be a great thing. Like Kelly here is about to demonstrate.
You haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
Queen is just my everything.
His smile did it. His smile, his eyes, his knowledge. My landlord, he decided that he wanted me to move based on the fact that I was transgender. Let's just respect people in everyday life for just being human.
No doubt you're going places, young lady.
Thank you. And thank you for the interview as well. I can imagine it was the last thing that you wanted to do after such a long campaign meeting.
You really are a very intelligent young woman. You're very smooth.
You're very smooth yourself.
You have no idea.
Why is my son having trouble in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with my son over his homework.
Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review?
No. He's smart, but his mind wanders.
7 wonders of the world.
Why don't you understand me?
I do. I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
It appears these hot ashes are about to be dumped, which could possibly start a wildfire. How will Smokey deal with such a hot situation? The garden hose defense. Next, a thorough stir. Then another spray. And finally, feeling if the ashes are cool.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, yes, the selfie. A ritual practiced so frequently with this tribe, but not so much by Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back to Sartori Stadium in East Boston. The East Boston Jets take down the O'Brien Tigers 20-12. And a lot of players tonight, Seth, that made a lot of great contributions for the Jets. Martinez with 2 big touchdown runs. You had Russo, who really played a nice game at the quarterback position. But Josh Rivera, a couple of huge catches on 3rd and 4th down. And, of course, coming back after that injury to gut it out there defensively. He's our MVP tonight. Great game for him.
Not only a leader on the field, but his emotional comeback. That helped that defense make some big stops and earn that 4th down stop that eventually ended the game with about 30 seconds to go. Rivera, really their only option in the passing game today, and he was so good. Couple of big plays where he made it easier on his young quarterback. This was a really gutty performance from Rivera, and sometimes it's more about what you do for your team emotionally than what you do on the field. He had a big game, but I think the fact that he wanted to power through it really provided a lot of energy to that East Boston team late.
No question, and Josh Rivera is our MVP tonight, and he is down on the field with our sideline reporter, Noah Riley. Noah, take it away.
Thanks, guys. I'm here right now with East Boston MVP, tight end and linebacker, Josh Rivera. Josh, tell us about this one today.
Tonight was a big win. Got to shout out my O-line. They protecting up front for my quarterback, and they're allowing him to get the ball out, throwing some good passes. This big was win, bouncing back off a 0-2 start. Now we're evening it out at 500.
Andy had a big game offensively and defensively. He had 4 catches for 75 yards and added 5 tackles before he rolled his ankle and making an amazing catch. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Like I said, again, my O-line did a perfect job protecting for my quarterback, and my quarterback did a nice job of getting me the ball in the open field.
Thanks so much, Josh. You played great today. And, Coach, you guys started 0-2, you said. Now you've won 2 straight, 2 City League wins. How does that feel?
It's good. You know, we had a tough time with the first 2 games. We played 2 non-league schools in the Catholic League, and they were very good. And nice to get another win and get back on track. O'Brien got to tip their hat. They were great. They played well, and it was a great high school football game.
Great. It was a really gritty game today. Is there anything you're hoping to improve upon in your next matchup?
I think we have to work on our tackling. Our tackling is still not where it needs to be. And, we've got to be able to pass the ball a little more effectively. Even though Josh had a few nice catches, our run game didn't pick up till the end, and we need to really pass the ball a little more.
Great. Thanks so much, Coach, and congrats on the win. Back to you guys.
Thanks very much, Noah. Coach Parziali certainly happy with another Boston North win. I'm sure he hopes that his team can keep it rolling here. It's always been with the Jets that next man up mentality. A guy goes down, next man up. You saw that Angelo Blake wasn't running the ball as much this week because he's still coming back from an ankle injury. Played a lot on defense, played well on defense, but Martinez had a lot of carries. You had Fudo, who had a lot of carries for the Jets. They have so many different guys who aren't necessarily stars, but guys who contribute all the time on this team.
It's never going to be one guy for East Boston, especially Brandon Ortega, their top player, graduated. You knew it wasn't going to be one guy this year. 5 different players touched the ball out of the backfield in the first half. They probably ended with maybe 6 guys. It's just the focus on move the sticks. We don't need to do it in all one play. They did with Martinez, who scored from, I think, 39 yards out on that game-winning touchdown. But in the second half, they did what they weren't able to do in the first half. Move the sticks, pick up a couple first downs in a row, kill some clock, tire down the defense. That's what East Boston's good at. And one last note about Rivera, that first play, that first catch you saw in the highlights, that set up their first touchdown on 4th down. That was possibly his biggest play of the game. It happened in the first quarter. That was a really difficult catch.
Huge play.
And they don't throw the ball a lot, but they had some big first downs when they were 3rd and long, 4th and long, and that's big because it gives Russo some more confidence, and John Parziali said it, he wants to throw more. Well, I think with this performance by his quarterback, they're going to have a little bit more confidence going forward, especially if Rivera is able to go next week.
Yeah, I think his health is probably going to be a big indicator of whether or not they're going to throw a little bit more than they could tonight. Let's take a look at the final stats from this game before we sign off from Sartori Stadium. And first up, it's going to be the O'Brien Tigers.
Well, Izzy Bazua was the man in the second half, 92 yards. He had less than 20 in the first half. Milton finished with 48, most of those coming in half number 1. Jaden Smith, an all-around great player. He had a 46-yard touchdown catch in the first half, 24 yards from Francis. Those came in the second half. Maffeo played well, 3 for 6 for 73. He was taken out. Hopefully he'll be okay for next week. Restrepo 1 for 2 from 18 yards.
Let's take a look at the East Boston Jets.
Christian Fudo was the guy early on, 8 for 43. Martinez is the big play guy, and he had 2 big plays, a catch to give them the lead early on in the second half, and then the game-winning score from about 40 yards out. He not only shows up as the team's second-leading rusher, but picked up that 9-yard touchdown catch. And Russo, 6 of 12, 71 yards. It's actually a pretty good stat line for a guy who's not asked to throw the ball all that much. He had some really big first down completions, especially late in the second half.
Yeah, Coach Barzilai wants to throw him to throw even more, so he better get his arm wound up for the next couple of games. Folks, you want to watch this game again, you can go to our website, www.cityofboston.gov/game of the week. All the games from this season are up there. You can also follow us on social media. You can go to Facebook, facebook.com/game of the week Boston. A lot of links, a lot of different videos. Pictures are up there as well. You can also follow us on Twitter at Boston City TV. And if you want to tweet at us, use the hashtag BostonGOW. We will be in Brighton next week for another Boston North showdown. But for right now, I'm going to say so long from Sartori Stadium in East Boston here on Game of the Week. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.